All right. What's up, everybody? Sorry for 20 minutes. You want to know what we were just doing for the last 20 minutes? Exactly like out of like an SNL skit. Can you hear me? It's like it just kept going back and forth. We're like, he could hear me, then as soon as I could hear him, it's just that was insane. That was insane.
Crazy.
And you want to know how you fix it? Is literally, hey, I'm going to exit out of this browser for the third time and then just go into some other internet, provider. And then all of a sudden it works. You're like, are you okay? Anyway, so what's up, everybody? I'm here with Chris Piehota. Chris, you can introduce yourself. I just so because we're going to be talking about the FBI.
Sure. Chris Piehota, glad to be back with Jesse and the audience. Spent 25 years with the FBI. Consider myself a product of the old FBI upbringing. Kind of disappointed in what's been going on over the past maybe 5 years, and then maybe a little before then. Trying to help fight that organizational rot. And Jesse and I are getting together today to talk about some of the recent events. Before I left the FBI, I served as one of the most senior executives there. I was probably one of the top 8 career people, and saw and heard a lot of things. So I try to add context and insight and dispel bullshit wherever we can. So yeah, ready to go.
So I wanted to start off with this question because I was watching something this morning and it reminded me of this. So like in 2016, when the Clinton email thing was going on and James Comey, so where were you at in that? So you were like very active, I would assume, in your career during that whole debacle, right?
Right. In 2016, I was just leaving. I was the director of the Terrorist Screening Center for the United States government. Mm-hmm. And I left that role to take the science and technology program over for the entire FBI in 2016. So I came in on the periphery of the Clinton email project and saw a lot of jerking around and a lot of, kind of shoulder shrugging and things of that sort. So saw it on the kind of the side as I was walking into the situation.
Yeah. And what do you think was going on there? Like because I had one guy, I saw this dude on Tim Cast's show, and he was saying that I can't remember if he was Secret Service or I think he might have even been FBI. I don't know. He's a whistleblower who said that basically like she had in her private server that she had like in her private email that she had like all this what do you call it, SCIF, I don't know, our SPAC, special access program, or SCAT, whatever, special access program stuff on her email. And he's like, dude, she was using it as a Dropbox for foreign people to kind of like drop in and download. I mean, I don't know, I saw it and I was like, wow, that is
she was Secretary of State at the time, and what she did was she set up her own private servers at her residence or in an office space somewhere, and what she was doing is she was circumventing the use of the government communication systems, right? So she was going in and out of her own server system, which is again not authorized. She was using it as a workaround so that they could use communications that weren't immediately monitored and stored by the government, because her, as the Secretary of State, she has to put her communications into the National Archives because she's a cabinet level official. So they were using that as kind of a workaround for official channels. And I'll tell you another thing, when I used to work with certain State Department folks, they always liked to use Gmail and Hotmail and Outlook instead of the government systems. And we told them, you can't do that when you're working with us because we have to make records of things, right? Mm-hmm. In case, for discovery, prosecution things, or just in general, you want to go back and recreate. So she knew by doing that she was going around the government systems, and what you talked about, special access programs. State Department really doesn't understand, nor do they care about certain classification of documents, and they do things kind of for a different motive to build relationships. They worry about national security as an afterthought in some instances. And that's why I've always had a problem with them. They're very lackadaisical and kind of, I would say less than professional when it comes to national security issues.
Yeah. And for those who don't know what special access, probably just realized I just threw that around and assumed everybody knows. Special access programs are above top secret. And it's like they're like right, like they compartmentalize very, very tightly who has access to it. The guy who I listened to talk about it said that in order to even review the materials in the couple special access programs that he had to like go, they would hand him the documents. He would take it into a secured room where they're, review them, put them back, whatever. There's never a time where anyone ever had access to it where they were not being monitored, essentially.
Well, basically, yeah, all the special access programs are code word, code name programs. They're compartmented information. And to get access to the information, you have to show a need to know, you have to show an operational requirement, and you have to sign specific non-disclosure agreements for those programs. I had a bunch of those type of compartments and SAP sign-ons, and what they do is they take top secret information at the top secret secure compartmented information level, and then they segment it further down for even closer security scrutiny and the compression of folks who could actually see it to protect it. That's correct.
And she just had that sitting in a server, I think I can't remember exactly what he said. It was something like that she had it like in her like drafts folder or something like that. Like whereas just sitting there just unsecured. And I don't even, the guy, and that's why the guy was talking about having to go into the room, is because he's like, I don't even know how she got a digital version of any of this stuff that would have even been in an email.
Yeah, I mean, people were sending things to her from, more than likely, they export them from the government channels through those government systems. Like you could send things to people outside those systems, but you shouldn't have, but you could. And it just comes down to, you can build the best system in the world, but if people still want to do dumb shit, they're going to do it.
Yeah. How much, I mean, like in general, how much of that stuff do you think is like, because I like when you say they wanted to use like Hotmail and Gmail, like anytime that I was ever doing anything professional and I was sending it from a Gmail, I was always embarrassed by that. Like I think of people in the government using it as like ludicrous.
Well, they do it because they don't want to use the government channels because those are monitored, right? They want to be able to use Gmail and other commercial communication platforms because they're talking with people from possibly from other countries. Right? Yeah. They can't get into our government systems, and they don't want their communications with these people monitored. So they use commercial systems to shoot the breeze with people from other governments or, their equivalents at other, state level diplomatic functions.
So you're saying the FBI can't get into my Gmail?
Yes, they can. Sure.
Okay. I was going to say, so like, how is it not? They just have to like actively decide to go monitor it versus it's just going to be monitored no matter what.
No, they have to go. They have to get a warrant, right? They have to show a reason why they want to do it. It's a legal action. They have to go to court, get a warrant, serve it on Google, and then Google has to accept the warrant, and then they give them technical access to your comms. And there's two different ways they do it, Jesse. They do it one way. They can do data at rest. They can look at what you have in your accounts, or they can do data in motion. They can intercept moving traffic. So it depends on what they're looking to do. Sometimes they do both.
Interesting. Well, now on to much less. So also, we're going to talk about this. I want to talk about the Brown case. As a matter of fact, why don't let's just do that first, and then we'll get to Kash Patel and his. I can't get enough of this dude. I like this. This story right here is just like one of the most unbelievable, hilarious things I've ever seen in my entire life. But we're going to come to that after we talk about Brown. But you know what? Actually, really quick, I wanted to ask you this. So so when we were looking at this last night, my wife's like, she's like, what are his socks? I was like, it's the American flag, stars and stripes. She's like, you can't be wearing that on your fucking feet. And I was like, I never really thought about it like that.
It's decorative, and I'll tell you what that came from. I used to see it when I was still working in Washington, D.C. A lot of the lawyers, the hipster lawyers in D.C., like to wear mismatched, brightly colored socks. They actually started this really lame practice of purposely wearing high water pants so you could see their ridiculous socks when they were walking around. So he's part of that kind of culture, I think, that came up during that time.
Yeah, he's got so he has a nice selection of watch. Like I like watches, and his watch game is he has good watches but they're not good fits for him generally. It's like he's at like they're that's a great watch. It's also a 46 millimeter, and you are 4'1". Like that's not your watch.
Yeah.
Great watch, just not for you. You know what I mean? Like that watch is enormous. It's like a dinner plate on his wrist, the one that he's wearing.
Well, you know, maybe he has bad eyesight. Don't know.
That's possible.
Or, excuse me, he might have bad eyesight. Or, as one guy told me one time that I used to make fun of folks in the military, big watch, small pecker. So
that's fair. Yeah, I think like for me, I always wore like 40 to 41 millimeter watches. And then I had a watch gifted to me in 2019 that was a 44 or 45. I don't know. And I just got used to it, where it's like now the little ones, they like 40 millimeter feels really small to me. Dude, some people, they wear 36, which is like that to me. This looks like a girl's watch, but it's neither here nor there. Yeah. Okay, so like let's talk about the Brown thing, because they're saying that, check this out. I mean, did you see that they're saying that an anonymous tipster on Reddit is how they cracked that case?
Yeah, I was listening to that, and I'm listening to it, Jesse, and it sounds like some sort of, D grade, cop show story where let me tell you what I heard this morning, and this is unreal. So you have a homeless man who went to Brown University at one point. Now he's homeless. He meets up with the suspected shooter in the bathroom of the same building that the shooting happened in. Right? I'm stupefied by this. He follows the suspected shooter out, follows him around the block, asks him what he's doing. Shooter says, "Why are you harassing me?" And this and that. They have this interaction, right? Because if you remember, they showed pictures of two persons that were persons of interest, as they called them. Well, one was this homeless guy who was
is he the first one that they picked up?
He was the second photo, I think. The first one was a heavyset guy with a black and greenish jacket on that I think they identified as the guy who was the actual shooter. The second guy that was in the media, a person of interest, I think was the homeless guy, right? But again, let's look at it this way, and I'll caveat this for the audience. This is the same news media that came out with all the bullshit at the very beginning, because they figure that fast is best, and we're not worried about accuracy. We just want to get it out there right away, right? So these are the same folks that are telling these stories this morning. And what I keep telling people, just from my years of doing this, is when you have an incident, you go into crisis mode. And then the information coming out of the crisis will be fragmentary. It will be emotionally charged, and it will often be incorrect as the situation matures and everybody gets a handle on stuff. So I just want to caveat that. So, yeah. But this guy, he confronts the shooter in the bathroom of the same building that the shooting happened in, according to the media. Confronts him, and then this guy, the homeless guy, posts something on Reddit, and then he calls some command post that was set up. Don't know whose command post, but he calls a command post or a tip line and says, "Hey, I posted this stuff on Reddit. Here's what I saw." And then it went from there, where they were able to talk to this gentleman. They identify him only as John. And then they do what they do, as cops do. They find the rental car. They do all these things. And, I'm sure all that'll come out in the investigative work, but I'm sure they use surveillance cameras and license plate readers and things of that sort. Tracked it to that storage unit where this individual reportedly had, ended his own life in the storage unit.
And that is just so. How do they know that this guy's not a conspirator who murdered that guy so that he could pin the fucking whole thing on him? I mean, that's
hard
like,
to tell.
Instantaneously, I'm like, how do we know that guy's not his conspirator? He put him down, and then he tips it up, and then so they can put the whole thing on that guy.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it goes along with the whole D-grade cop show story, right? Could have been a partner, could have been an accomplice. I'm sure that'll all come out here in the next few days. But the whole story shows that there's a convergence of incompetence, ineptitude, political wrangling, and social justice and woke BS that all got involved and destroyed the credibility of everybody involved right at the beginning.
That is very bizarre. That story, like the whole thing is like, all right, so if I hear a story that makes no sense, right? Like, oh, he just met up in the bathroom. Well, like, and they're saying like when the shooting was happening, like the shooting happens, guy goes to the bathroom and then he follows him out.
No,
or
before.
like,
This is before. He
so
meets. He met him before, and just noticed that he was walking around the neighborhood and just confronted him and said, "What are you doing?" A random homeless dude who also happened to be a former student at Brown. This is what the media is putting out. It may in the next day or two, the details may sharpen up and it may become more sensible. But this is what they were putting out this morning, and I was in the gym this morning. I'm at a hotel right now. You can see the beautiful hotel decor behind me, and I'm listening to this while I'm trying to exercise. I'm thinking, you got to be shitting me. This is the story that we have, and yeah, that's what they're going with.
Again, like, and especially
Jesse, I'd be asking some heavy questions of my folks sitting across the table from them and saying, "Wait a minute, you got to be shitting me." A Reddit post from a homeless dude that they met in the bathroom before the shooting, and what? It sounds this sounds ridiculous.
And the guy that is telling you this story was a person of interest in the crime. How do you know that he didn't just go find some sucker, put a bullet in his noodle, and then go tell an idiotic story?
Well, I mean, they were both on camera in the area. They were both, yeah, you hear the news likes to use cop language. They were casing the area or whatever, But what they were doing is they were walking around the area, whatever they were doing, if they were, just doing their own reconnaissance or whatever of the area. That's what I don't know yet. But the fact that both of them were in the area, they had an interaction, and one of them calls a friggin' social media or writes into a social media site to report it. It's insane.
So the guy, but also think about it like this, dude. If you're thinking about who this guy is, it's like, so he was a former Brown student, which means he's super smart. Now he's
but he's homeless now,
and he's homeless.
He's homeless
so
right now.
Maybe he's super smart, but also crazy, right? It's
Could
like
be.
that sounds like someone I would be like, hey guys, have you considered that he might be he might be doing his version of a JFK patsy here? Like, you know what I mean? He gets some Dunsky to follow him around, and then he's the mastermind, because you can't interview a dead guy.
No, and that's what, and now they tied it to the MIT professor shooting also.
Yeah, oh yeah,
right?
Tell me about that.
Yeah, they said that they've tied them together somehow, that this individual who is from Portugal, right?
Right.
That this guy from Portugal reportedly went to school with the MIT professor when they were both at college in Lisbon, Portugal. He shows up now and shoots him.
Just because?
Yeah, everybody's scratching their heads, right?
They're like, this guy, yeah. So this homeless guy said that this guy did it, and this guy who's dead went to school with the MIT guy 100 years ago. Ipso facto, he did that one too.
Yeah, I mean, this is almost like a really screwed up version of that 7 layers of Kevin Bacon stuff that people used to play. Right? All these relationships and layers of nonsense. Yeah. And I'm just listening. Again, I'm in the gym. I'm listening to this saying, I am just, again, I'm stupefied by the whole thing. This is where we're at. And I'll throw one more thing at you is we as a society have got to demand that our elected officials, appointed officials, and our law enforcement leaders do a better job in coordinating and managing information for the public and the media. This whole thing was just a disaster from the get-go. And it shows when you have ineptitude. That police chief up there, I'll be surprised if he keeps his job after this fiasco. The president of Brown University, complete zero. And the state AG, clown. The mayor of the city, clown. I mean, it was just unbelievable. So we were as the public, being fed these different lines of information, and then they refused to answer certain questions. I'll tell you what, the media, I was kind of surprised. They were tough on them up there. They were tough on them. So I think we have to demand better from our elected officials and our appointed officials.
Yeah. I mean, I think of what kind of person ascends through the hierarchy in an Ivy League school in the last 10 years. And something tells me that's not a person that's super adept at navigating a a death, a murder investigation if it gets thrown in their lap. Like they're like the kind of person that's like, listen, I know how to say that we need to take care of marginalized communities. I have no idea what to say when people start getting whacked out on campus and we don't know who did it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I'll take that one further, because this is one of my own pet projects. Is we have seen where placing people into positions of authority based upon their social feelings, whether they're Marxists, leftists, whatever you want to call them these days, communists, they're running these institutions. They don't know how to do anything. They just espouse these social theories, and everybody loves them at these universities. This lady is, every time I've seen her, she was 100% incompetent. 100%. And I don't know if that was by design, where they just told her, hey, act dumb. And if so, she mission accomplished. Or if she was an actual just moronic person. Hard to say.
Hard to say. Yeah, that is very listen, dude, at the end of the day, and then I guess we should also we should talk about Bongino's exit out of the bureau. And it's like, actually, you know what? Let me ask you one more question about this case. I forgot. I wanted to ask. So like when the bureau gets put in a position like this with like a really, really public crime, and the public is kind of coming down heavy on like, what, hey, you guys gonna solve this thing or what? Like how much pressure comes from the top to where the people on the ground are like, we need to tie a fucking bow on this thing fast. And, and then they might do shoddy work just to like, appease their superiors. Cause like, when you're in a job, you're in a job. It's not like they're agents, they're humans. And so it's like, fuck, man, he's breathing down our neck. And it's like, let's tie this one off. Like, does that happen a lot?
Oh, absolutely. They want this stuff wrapped up immediately because time kills investigations, Jesse. The longer things go, the less you're likely to solve things, right? Because people's memories fade, evidence gets adulterated, just all that kind of stuff. But I will tell you this: that's where the leadership aspect comes in, where you have to go back to your bosses. And I've done it in the past. They're asking me for reports. They say, well, the guys have to send in reports every hour. Well, then they ain't working. I'll get you your information at 4 to 6 hour intervals. That's the best we can do if you want them to actually get some stuff done. And they would say, okay, got it, right? Because everybody's breathing down their neck, right?
Hey,
they want hourly updates. And I'm thinking, if they're on a computer typing an update, they are not processing crime scenes or doing investigations.
Yeah,
right.
That makes
but here's the problem: like
common sense,
right? Because I'm telling them, if they're writing to me and you, then they aren't working.
Yeah.
So, but the problem is you look at what happens when the FBI shows up. Everybody automatically assumes that the FBI is in charge. And in the many instances, we do take command because it's a federal issue. But in this instance, the FBI was there in a support capacity. They were helping the authorities at the university and the local law enforcement, state and local, law enforcement partners. Mm-hmm. The FBI was providing support. But when you see FBI personnel walking around in FBI jackets, kicking snow around and just kind of milling about smartly, people are asking, what's going on? How can we not, we're not finding this guy and you guys are walking around kicking snow around, right? Yeah. So that's where I think the communications have to be better. And we have to explain to people, this is what we're doing, not what we're actually doing. Because I think we overshare and we give the bad guys a lot of insight and knowledge.
Yeah.
But we have to tell them, we are seeking evidence. We're looking for whatever debris, whatever. You'll see our people in the area. If you see them kind of walking around, picking things up on the ground, we're just looking for anything we can find that'll help us either fill timeline or possibly identify personnel in the area, right? And then people are going to say, okay, got it.
Yeah.
But just to watch FBI personnel in FBI jackets walking around kind of, lazily kicking snow, and then people get pissed because they're saying, what are you doing? And we're not even in charge here, right? So again, they have to do a better job. They have to do a better job on that.
And actually, so Choke Dealer, what's up, Choke Dealer, says, how is my home surveillance better than what these universities has? And Chris and I were talking about this offline yesterday, where it's like they had like 1,000 cameras and not one of them caught a clear picture of this guy. That's impossible. It's impossible.
Well, here's the issue, right? Yeah, I'm saying everybody has professional grade security now. Everybody. Yeah. Ring, all these different systems.
Yeah, it's in my house.
Yeah, they're all professional grade. I mean, they're great. And we hated them when I was on the job because they were so good, and the bad guys would set them up and they could see our surveillances. We freaking hated it.
Yeah.
But in this instance, I've heard numbers ranging from 800 to 1,200 cameras in a system across Brown University. And what I heard yesterday, and again, this is from the media, that they either shut them off or removed certain cameras from certain places because they didn't. Two reasons: one, activists on camera on campus didn't want to be filmed, so they acquiesced, and two, they didn't want anybody being able to see anybody there who was an illegal migrant in the area, so they stopped monitoring certain things. Now, again, this is coming from the media. Okay, so again, ideology versus security. Ideology wins at Brown University.
That is absolutely wild. And Justin Bundy, thank you for the super chat, good sir. My first live, my front door camera is better. Me too. Me too.
Mm-hmm.
When they I saw when Benny Johnson put he's like, here's the best we got. And he's like, I don't understand how this is possible. I mean, I believe it. I believe exactly what they're laying out, because otherwise, how could you explain it? Those cameras, there's no way that those cameras were on if they're telling the truth about not having better footage. And it's like, and honestly, based on how the Charlie Kirk investigation supposedly went, as far as they know, it's like, well, you put the image out, kids mom sees it, goes, it's probably hit, and that leads directly to finding the shooter. Why would you not do that again here if you had better images of this guy? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And I can't say for what footage came to be available when. I saw they were putting out a lot of still images. The problem I find with that approach is they're not giving timeline. This is what date and time this was taken. Mm-hmm. And they just put out these random pictures without date time context. So somebody could say, wait a minute, I was around that area at that point, right? So you don't know you have no context for the pictures. Hey, one more thing on the Brown stuff, on the finding the suspect in that storage unit. They said they found him with a satchel and firearms. Okay. So I'm wondering right now is, how did they tie this gentleman definitively, besides the photo imagery? How did they tie him to the shooting at the university? And for the MIT professor, I seriously doubt if they were able to do a ballistics match on the weapon, on both weapons. There were two of them, I believe, that quickly. I find it hard to believe.
And even if you could, you got to keep looking at the guy who brought you there. You know what I mean? Like this, if your sole source for how you found this is a guy who is also a person of interest casing the unit, it's like, this is not rocket science, guys. This guy could have done this and then put this dude down, put the murder weapons right next to him, been like, hey, guys, I'm a hero. You know, I mean,
lots of scenarios. Yeah. Well, it's like, you know what it is? It's kind of like that firebug who sets the fire, then calls the police department and the fire department. He's the first one there to help.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, lots of funny stuff here. And I'm hoping that the actual law enforcement professionals will take this case, because, the local authorities in Providence, they want this done and gone. They want to scrape this off their shoe right away. Yeah. Okay. I'm hoping that some adult supervision comes in and says, well, hang on. We got to look at this from an angle of, why did he do this now? What moved him to action? What was his pattern of life? What was the event that moved him from ideology to physical world action? Who were his friends and associates? All of those types of things you got to talk to. What frame of mind was he in? There's a whole layer of investigative work on the tail end that has to be done now. You move from crisis management to consequence management now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but I'm just wondering how they tied those. Besides the imagery, how'd they tie those weapons to the sites? The only way they could have done it, and I don't think it was the clown show in Providence that did anything. It was probably the FBI or ATF or somebody may have taken it in on an emergency and matched it, did a preliminary match.
How long does it take? If it's rushed, you're like, we got to do this as fast as possible to do a ballistics.
Hours.
Okay.
Hours. Yeah, they just got to get somebody in there, do the ballistics match, make sure you run it through the proper vetting and validations to make it a good test for stand up in court. Yeah. You get the experts to come in and do it. And a lot of that stuff now is done through digital means too. So, it's not something that should take days. It could take hours. But so again, I doubt if those people up there did it.
Yeah. So the ballistics match is they fire, so they take a casing, they fire a round into and they match the firing,
the rifle.
Yeah. So
Well, they do it two ways. Generally, you can take it depending on what they were able to recover, right? So you have to recover the expended rounds from the victims or from the local area if they're not too damaged. Then you take and you fire an exemplar round from the weapon into a pool of water. Generally, they take them out and then they look at what they call barrel rifling. Barrel rifling makes very unique marks into the bullet as it's fired, and then they match the rifling marks. It's almost like a fingerprint.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they also can take casings and do firing pin impression matching.
That's
so
what I.
you
That's
know,
what I.
they have a couple. Yeah, they have a couple different ways they do it. I mean, those are just two preliminary methods, and you know, I just don't think that like I said, the clowns in Providence were able to get that done in any kind of time frame. It had to be the federal guys.
Everybody's saying,
I'm
is
guessing.
my mic's too low, you guys? Because believe me, I need more audio issues today. Like I need a fucking hole in the face. Is that everybody's like anyway? Mike, I just turned it up, dude. I literally just turned it up. Okay, good. It's fine. So someone says it's fine. I'm not fucking with my audio, dude. Okay, so now let's take a look at this though. All right. So this is the FBI director, guys. And he is on Katie Miller's podcast. And let's just take a look. I mean, I did a video on both of my channels about this. Did it on Play With Matches and on here because this was one of the most absurd things I've ever seen in my entire life.
Structure with our family and our friends, as anyone does in this town, in order to succeed. We're blessed to have that. And I think what hurts is that they have to read a lot of this falsehood. She can take it. I can take it. We can take it. It's definitely made us incredibly stronger. But having a support network that knows it's total BS has made it a lot easier for us. And our parents get along. My parents like her more than they like me. So it's, you know, in all this accounts that it matters.
Director of the fucking FBI, guys.
Where it actually means something. It's never been better for me on a personal level. Of course, I wish we didn't have to deal with the attacks. Like she should be out there touring and crushing it on the country music stage as she always has been. And she shouldn't have to deal with the collateral consequence of just being the FBI director's girlfriend. But I think with the hypersensitive nature of the media, especially the social media space, people come at you because it takes me back to like when I first did an investigation of consequence, you know, Benghazi or Russiagate or what have you. You know, they always said it's going to be the loudest when you're over the target. And yeah, it's been the loudest for us in recent history because she's doing amazing things and the FBI is doing a great job.
No, I said this every time that I've covered this. Look at their body language, dude. Like she is looking at him. She's like, he's like, there's a clear dynamic to me in the way that they're sitting, the way she's looking at him, which is like, you better stay on your talking points, bud. And he's like, I am slouching. I'm moving this way because I'm afraid of you. And, you know, I'm also the FBI director, guys. Keep that in mind.
For the American people and certain sectors of the online space aren't satisfied that we're thriving, we're surviving, and that we have the support of this administration.
We're thriving. We're surviving in response to online haters. Shoot me in the fucking face, dude. What on earth is that?
Well, let me tell you something, Jesse. That I mean, I've worked for, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 FBI directors, and you know, despite their individual challenges or whatever you want to call it, none of them have offered up that type of persona. They all filled the role of FBI director in the way of, you know, stoic, professional. You know, when you go on shows, it's talk about FBI business, and that was kind of an odd showing right there.
Yeah.
That was an odd showing.
Listen, like I think everyone's going to be hard pressed to find a person who's going to be the director of the, you know, the director of the FBI is very public, like compared to like, you know, the head of the CIA. Right. Even though you kind of, you know who they are, like you don't see them very often. I mean, obviously that's probably like part of the job, you know, but like the FBI director, you get to see. And to me, it's like it's important because like faith in institutions is critical to the country, and faith in the FBI. Like, what's the FBI's role? Is to enforce the law at the absolute highest point of the country. You should shit your pants when the fucking FBI director is anywhere near you. You know what I mean? Or it's like, oh fuck. And it's like,
but they're supposed to carry an image.
Yeah.
They're supposed to carry an image.
Yeah.
Stoic, professional.
Yeah.
You know, when you walk in a room, you have a command presence, right?
Yeah.
And that wasn't it, right?
Yeah.
So, hey, Jesse, listen, I gotta jump off for a few minutes, and I gotta leave you in the audience for a few. So I'll be ready to talk a little bit more about that pod show podcast appearance and Bongino's departure, and just any other FBI jackassery that the folks want to talk about. But I got to be gone for a few minutes. I apologize for the inconvenience, but I will be back shortly.
Okay, cool. What's up, everybody? So, dude, oh my God, I can't get enough of that Kash Patel fucking. It's like my favorite thing I've ever seen. It is so funny. And look at, okay, check this out, you guys. Look at, so, how do I do this? Bam. Okay, so look at look at these clips. So Kash Patel responds to personal attacks. How Kash Patel met Alexis Wilkins. The firing that never happened. Oh my God, dude. Oh my God, this is fucking great, dude. Let's watch.
Has there been one moment where you're like, you can't make this up, or if this would be like a TV show if it was?
I think it's like every day. There was a pretty funny incident in the Oval maybe a couple of weeks ago. I was there with the president and a couple of members of the law enforcement teams, and the press secretary, Caroline Levitt, came in, and she said, "Hey, Mr. President, Kash, MSNBC or whatever outlet is saying you're going to fire Kash." And me and the president just started laughing in the Oval Office because at the same time, and the president,
the president's laughing. He's like, "Ha ha ha ha! No, I am going to fire you. You are an idiot." You know. I really think I'm dying here, Billy. Yeah, dude, his face is like. Oh my God, dude. It is fucking priceless. This whole thing is absolutely amazing. It's like it's just absurd. It's absolutely absurd, you know? And listen, I was going to do I'm going to do a separate video about this, but there is a very high-ranking person in the government that is directly accusing him of being compromised, like for real, like that, and like not a person that's like a throw. You know, everybody, like if I was like, he's compromised, guys, it's like, okay, guy, you know, how do you know, Jesse on fire? I'm like, I just know. Okay, we're talking like the exact opposite of that, like super high-ranking, like in current state intelligence, and they're like, he's compromised. And I saw it yesterday. I was like, "Oh shit!" It's at the top of my notes of what videos I'm gonna do. But I also, damn, dude, I got videos to do today, man. Because if you guys haven't seen, also what like what's to come later, the TPUSA, apparently the event like descended into like some kind of ruckus between people arguing about fucking Charlie's assassination. Like there's like all these different people coming out on stage and all. Blah, blah, blah. I got to talk about that. I heard Erica Kirk is hiring her fucking ex-boyfriend to be the new version of what Charlie was doing traveling around. You're like, wait, what? I saw that. And I also, again, I'm going to talk about the Kash thing. So, dude, there was another big story too. I'll tell you this too. But I'll talk more about this in the videos. But like yesterday, I went out to Heavy Duty Country's ranch, and we were like shooting meat, you know, with a bone behind it with 30-06. Okay. Like 140 yards for anybody who shoots, it's not a hard shot, right? Like but I mean, it's not a hard shot. But when you're up there and you have like a medium scope, right? Like you have a medium scope. Cause like basically what we did is I bought the cheapest 30-06 in the world. Okay. Like I bought a Savage Arms 30-06, which including tax and a box of 30-06 rounds was $486. Okay. It came with a mounted scope. Okay. Like the scope I have on my 6.5 is like 4 times that, just the scope. So like we dialed it in, and apparently what they're saying that the rifle that Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk with was this like old school fucking World War II 30-06. Like that picture that they put out in the public was a stock photo. It was not real. So this is like, it's like a pretty good test. First of all, we had to dial it in to make sure it was sighted in right. But like, dude, that shot is not easy. That is not an easy shot at all. And that's in the middle of a ranch. Okay. Like that's in the middle of a ranch with nothing in between. From that rooftop with 1 million people around, life in prison if you get caught. Like, I don't know, man. I was never super skeptical of the shot until yesterday. Now I'm like, I don't know, dude. I don't know, man. I don't know. But you'll have to watch to see what the 30-06 did to a gigantic roast and Dave, 524,379.79 of making me laugh. Thank you. Love your show. Thank you, Wendy. Dude, I can only hope that I will live for that many days. I think. It's like 1 million years of Jesse on fire. You guys are very welcome. Yeah, Chris, like, if you guys are like, I just think it's hilarious when Chris comes on, because I always tell him, like, if you look at his resume, it's like, it's so extensive. He's like ran all of like, listen, I feel like I honestly feel like when I have him on, I should have his fucking resume up, because like anything you've ever wanted to know about anything going on at the FBI, that's the guy you talk to. I mean, like, just as simple as that. He was 3rd in command when he retired. He was a division head, right? So you have the director, deputy director, Chris. That's who this guy is that's on talking to us about like everything that he's talking, like that's who that is. Okay. He reported directly to the deputy director. And think about this, the director and the deputy director, those are like appointed positions. So he's at the top of the FBI hierarchy that's not an appointed position. So like when he's talking about what's going on in these cases, that's the fucking guy you listen to, man. Well, I'm sure glad you have the right to your own opinion, because I would like to say you would probably just tell me that I am not aware of the facts, but I just don't think that you are correct. About what? I'm confused. I'm not sure what you were referencing. Multiple shooters. Hang on. Multiple shooters and they didn't know they were there? Misdirection, no chance of snitching. I mean, feel like that's not likely. I feel like that's not likely. Wait, hang on. Also, recoil. If you're not used to a certain amount of recoil versus body weight, the difficulty goes up. I mean, literally, like, recoil is just a matter of like how much have you shot? Because like anybody, if you learn how to like create stability in your body, that's all recoil is just creating stability in your body, and that's it. If you can make yourself stable, recoil isn't shit. Like recoil doesn't fuck with me at all. It's more about how you stand than I mean, if you're like a really small person, maybe, but do I think the guy on Candace's show yesterday is credible? Mix, call it, fuck no. That guy instantly, when I'm talking, this is before the stuff that came out today, that guy's a fraud. I watched fucking 2 minutes of that guy. I'm like, come on, dude. That guy, I don't know, man. My spidey sense was very much not, I was looking at him like, I don't know, dude. I don't know. The guy's setting Candace up for a fall. Either that, dude, or he just like got her. You know what I mean? He just got her. Because I bet you she had, I don't see why she would have been able to see his face. And so, like, if someone's talking to you on the phone and they say they're whatever, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, they say whatever, but I mean, that guy, I was looking at that guy, my bullshit meter was like through the fucking roof. As a matter of fact, here, I'll pull that up real quick. And just to make sure that I am not, my buddy told me that he just stole some other like this other guy's story. Hold on, let me oops. Okay.
Okay, I'm associated with the.
All right, hang on. And boom, boom. All right, let's pull this. Okay. I mean, honestly, I'm not even sure how many words he said. I just looked at him like bullshit. Yeah, right. There's no way this guy's telling the truth. Look at his face.
To perform a raid, and yeah, that's what happened.
Now you're thinking
there's a lot of contention even to this day between the Army and Border Patrol and who gets to take credit and who gets to stay, who gets to go. And back then, the Border Patrol, I think they just wanted us out of their hair. So they were having some sort of a big meeting, and a big do not disturb meeting.
I'm just kidding, you guys. I wasn't saying look at his face for real. I mean, I'm not like how he looks. I'm not saying like if he's attractive. I'm just saying like his face looks like, you know, come on. Come on. I don't know. You know, I have no idea, dude. But I'm just saying my instinct was like, I don't know, dude. You know. No, exactly, dude. Wait a minute. Of course he's legit. He's got an American flag in the background. No one would pin that behind them and then tell a silly story to a podcaster. You know? Listen, on Bongino, I'm not going to step on his story, but Chris had a very, like, you know, I mean, obviously it's like anything related to the FBI, I just go, like, if I think I have an opinion, I'm like, what's up, dude? Like, what do you think, Chris? Like, most educated opinion in the world. And he had a really good, like, a really good take on Bongino that I think is probably exactly accurate. Yeah, I have to look at the interview. Oh, look at his. Yeah, well, see, that's exactly what I was talking about. Is his body language? It's like weird.
And you know, get more of these records as well as get
right there. Right, first fucking thing that he did. Very first thing that he did is people who close their eyes like that when they move their head screams lie to me. I don't know if that's just something I pick up on. I don't even know if that's like some kind of documented thing. But watch it when he moves his face and he closes his eyes. That watch.
And it's not like, I know these are. It's like fantastical stories. We got the court documents. We got the.
Look into the right. Everything about his face and body language is I don't trust that at all. Well, I am known for ridiculously good intuition when it comes to people. So much so, in fact, sometimes I think I can predict what people are going to do. But then when I am emotionally involved in what they're going to do, sometimes I fuck it up. It's much better. Anyway. Is he not supposed to be in his 50s? What do you mean? Is he not supposed to be in his 50s? I don't know what you mean. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, listen, dude, chat, do you guys think he was legit? Like, I'm not talking about, you know, like this is the thing, dude. If you feel uncomfortable, like critiquing, like being critical of a dude just because he's on Candace's show and you love Candace, like you're not being objective, right? Like this has nothing to do with Candace. Okay. You can't even imagine the fucking shit that she has like going at her all the time. Like she's inevitably, like just due to what she's doing, she's inevitably going to have constant bullshit. she has a naturally vested interest in, like a big vested interest in big breakthroughs in the case. And so if someone like presents himself as like, hey, I've got this thing, she already said she doesn't know about the military, so they could slip shit by her. And, you know, like the, again, this guy, I don't think that this dude is some kind of like operation by other people trying to like discredit her. I think that this dude is just, like, if my instinct is like, this guy's just full of shit and wanted to like tell the world he's some fucking military guy or something, would be my guess. Or he might be completely real. Dee Dee, thank you very much for the super chat. Very, very much. Hi, Jesse. Tell Gabby hi. Merry Christmas to all of your beautiful family. I'd send more, but I'm not able to have it. Christmas at my house this year, but we thank God for what we have. Love each other. Thank you so much. And that is very generous. Thank you very much. And Merry Christmas to you guys as well. Daddy Crab, thank you for the super chat. The next shot looked like coagulated blood, looked fake to me. I don't know. I don't know, man. I have no idea. Like I said, I went, you know, like until Mitch is vetted by Valhalla. You're Mitch. Is that the guy that was on Candace? Yeah. I don't trust Candace's judgment. I don't trust anybody's judgment if they're not a subject expert. Like, there's nothing against Candace. It's like she literally came out after the first time she talked about him, and she's like, I don't know anything about this stuff, you guys. I'm sorry, I got the E6 thing wrong or whatever. Like, she's like, I don't know about this. So yeah, I mean, she's got like, dude, she has to create a new show every fucking day, you know? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you think, I mean, bottom line is, dude, this guy's going to get, I mean, like if he's real, then he's like, people are going to know. If he's not real, people are going to know. It's going to be one way or the other. I'm just like, I have no idea. I'm just saying my instinct was like, I default to, I don't believe fucking anybody about anything though. You know, like that's, I mean, like, just to be clear, right? Like, what's my default setting? I think everyone's lying all the time. Unless they are someone who has like established their credibility with me to where, you know, like if it's like one of my boys, like guys I know, you know, like it's like, okay, fucking Dan's not going to lie. Nate's not going to fucking lie. You know what I mean? But like people who are just randoms, they're all, I have this crazy story to tell you. I'm like, yeah, fucking right. You know, I mean, I don't know. So like I said, if I say he seemed to me to be full of shit, you could just be like, well, Jesse assumes everybody's full of shit. So I don't know how much weight to put on that. Beta Baby, thank you very much for the super chat. Imagine you're Candace and you found out CK was actually alive in witness protection and your investigation was, in fact, blowing up his cover. What would be your next move? I thought about that. I have no fucking idea, dude. I mean, I have no idea. I can't tell because like, I just can't tell because like it seems like the next day like everybody was like lighting her up the day after that meeting where they're like, she changed, she completely changed. And I'm like, she changed, dude, she just met with TPUSA. Of course she's going to be learning new information. She's at like, all she's been doing is like speculating about what they're doing. We all know she's not talking to them. So she's like, why the fuck you guys doing this? Why are you guys doing this? Why are you guys doing this? Like, of course, like that is how, and then you get them together and they talk. Of course, she's going to find out. So, like, if she didn't change, that would make me trust her less. You know what I mean? Like, of course she's going to change because she now had an interaction. So, like, when everybody was like just fucking lighting her up, they're, oh, so now she's blah, blah, blah. I'm like, of course she's doing that. Like, she met with them. But like, and then after the backlash, I don't know. Like, then people, I don't know. It seemed like, I don't know. It seemed like she went back to like kind of going at them. And so I don't know. I can't make heads or tails of it. I don't care. I love Candace, dude. Val, how can people find out about this guy when he changed his names multiple times and was in hiding? How can anyone know who he really is? Oh, they'll fucking find him. Bet your life they'll find him. They will find him, dude. The internet is undefeated. Okay. Like that guy, assuming that this dude is like, yeah, like they'll find him, I think. Yeah, I actually have it. Like, Nate was potentially going to join this stream. Actually, let me see what he's doing. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Candace would risk her reputation that much without being as close to certain as possible. She even said she can confirm his story with metadata government's corrupt. I mean, listen, dude. Like, do I think that Candace would fucking put him on knowing that he's full of shit? Of course not. Of course not. But if you like, if you think that she can't get duped, you're crazy. That's not accurate. Anybody can get duped. Ian Carroll seems really reluctant to comment, so that tells me he doesn't trust this Mitch guy. I haven't talked to him about it, but if he didn't, he wouldn't say it. Like if he thought the guy was full of shit, he wouldn't say it. Certainly wouldn't say it publicly. And if he did say it to us, he would say like, keep that off the record. Like he's like close with Candace. And again, I always say I fucking love Candace, dude. If Candace and her dude lived next door to us, they'd be our best friends. Like for real. They would be our best friends. But like, dude, she's got fucking bullets flying at her from every direction, dude. She's getting sued by the Macrons. They're trying to have her killed. That I do believe, because I'm sure that is highly, highly likely. And then you've got like, you have the other thing is I know what this is like because I have a similar kind of role on a smaller scale. So like, do people throw shit at you constantly? Like I don't know, my situation, like I'm not looking to like break stories. So, but like she is like, people bring me tips. I can't even fucking imagine what she is looking at every single day in like her tips line. It's got to be insanity, And like I said, she's a dragon to the point where even if she has bad info, it doesn't matter. Like she's gonna be like she's so persuasive that even if she has bad info, she's gonna be really, really like, God, I would never want her fucking putting a target on me. Like if people are fucking not afraid of Candace, they're fucking crazy. They are out of their mind. They're like, if they're fucking out of their mind, if they're not afraid of her, they should be. Anybody, if you fucking sniff her out, kind of, sniffing around, you should fucking call her and be like, what do you want to know? Because I don't need you putting a target on my fucking back, dude. And she's like, she seems to me more like a battle rapper, like she's like, if you don't fuck with her, most of the time she's not going to fuck with you. But like, yeah, I wouldn't want her fucking looking at me, dude. Benny Johnson has been threatened. I don't know, man. That one was that one triggered my Fed slop radar. That one. I mean, yeah, dude, you want like 51 emails and getting Mitch's like that is wild. Wait, 51 email. I don't know what that means, but do you think Candace would have someone implicate Erica Kirk without having something to really back it up? I mean, like, what would back it up? You know what I mean? Like, but like I said, Erica Kirk apparently is hiring her ex-boyfriend now to be the new Charlie Kirk. But I'm going to make a video about that later on today. Dude, I've been enjoying your videos so much for years. Could not be happy for you. Thank you so much. And thank Yankees fan. What's up, dog? Yankees fan's been with me for fucking years, dude. No matter what I covered, he was always there. I love you, dog. Thank you very much, man. I didn't know you'd be live, but and can't stay. Always like. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you guys. I'm actually going to follow suit, like, because, dude, I was looking. Fucking Nate crushes fucking live streams now, dude. That's the I always forget. Do you guys know that that's his name? Valhalla's name is Nate, but like his fucking live streams murder it on numbers, and he's like I realized like, oh, he does this on a schedule. Fucking common sense. And I've been saying for literally years, I'm like, I'm just going to start streaming on a schedule. And I just never do it. And I don't know why, because I love live streaming. But I'm going to do, I think I'm going to, yeah, like, dude, every time I look when he's live, he's got like fucking 70, like, I don't know, 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 fucking concurrents. That's like gigantic, man. What's my take on Hunter? That's a funny question. I am deciding what to do with him right now. Trying to make up my mind on how I want to move forward with him. I've spoken to Hunter Kozak now. So we'll see. I made him an offer that he does not like. We'll see. Rosario, thank you for the super chat. Oh, dive into Erica and had a bunch of pics and vids of her past. She was at some gala in a blue beauty pageant style dress surrounded by 5 or so men. Andrew Colvett was standing behind her. Huh. I bet that you're pulling that from the same stream that I'm going to be reacting to later about the boy that she's hiring, the boyfriend. Jennifer Bowling, thank you very much. Yeah, like so I'll probably get to that later. Rosario, do you have a theory on what it means? Like, what do you think? Like, what do you think it means? You know, because the thing about her ex is like, I mean, what's the right way to put this? Okay. So I think my take on what happens if husband and father dies when they have young kids, I think mine is probably different than most people's, because I feel like generally speaking, when they hear that like a widow is moving on, they're kind of like, what the fuck? You know, it's like, Jesus, like she's with her ex-boyfriend already. It's only been however long. Like my take on this is like, okay, I'll give you a perfect example. Okay, so like Matt Best from Black Rifle Coffee, like his best friend partner died, right? And now he's together with that guy's wife and kids. And I know a lot of people are like, that's fucked up. And I'm like, that's fucked up. I'm like, that's like the least fucked up thing I've ever heard. Is like, if, you know, I'm not getting into like the rumored circumstances of everything. I just mean like in general, I see that as taking on the responsibility that his best friend had. Is like, there's his kids and his wife. And now Matt didn't have his own kids. And so he's like, I will take this family on and make sure that they're all right forever. And so like, to me, if like, you know, if something happened to me and one of my best friends who's solid, like a rock solid person, who's also one of my good friends, if they stepped into my family, I wouldn't see that as betrayal. I would see that as the exact opposite of that. You know what I mean? It's like someone, at least like you think I want my fucking kids growing up without a father just because I'm jealous in the afterlife of like my wife's sexual partner. Like there are things that are a lot more fucking important than being insecure about someone else banging your wife when you're dead. You know what I mean? It's like, no. Like I want my wife to be happy. Like I want her to be happy and I want her to be as like not devastated as possible. And I want someone solid to raise my fucking babies. You know what I mean? Now, at the same time, whether that applies to this Erica thing or not, I don't know, because, you know, this guy and Charlie were friends. So, you know, who knows? Who knows? What else would I do if I lived next door to Candace? Are you implying that I would hit on her? I wouldn't, dude. I'm not some scumbag. Okay. You know, smile in her husband's face. I'm like, oh man, what are you doing this weekend? I'm like, Candace, do you want to come to a barbecue at my house while he's out of town? What kind of sleazebag you guys think I am? Jesus. I don't think Erica cared about what Charlie wanted. I don't understand those takes, man. Like, I just think that she's like, her energy's all wrong. It's fucking weird, dude. It's so weird. The insurance company bankrupted the insurance company too. Like, that's the thing is if they collected money, that's a crime, brother. You know, Did I see Candace on Pierce Morgan? I saw that she did Pierce Morgan. I hadn't watched it yet. Honestly, like I don't know if you guys have noticed, but my output has been outlandishly high in the last like 90 days. Like I do nothing but work. Nothing. Like I literally, all I do is work all day. Like I wake up late. Like my day basically consists of this. Like I wake up at 9 and then I, kind of leisurely start my day. And I'm usually like in my studio by like 11:30 and people are like, Jesus, you started at 11:30. I'm like, yeah, then I work till fucking 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and that's just like, that's my routine, except for jujitsu, at some point, either at whatever. But it was like I can't remember what exact month, probably September. I literally was like, I wonder what would happen if I just went insane and all I did is content. And that has netted some very, very fucking positive results, to say it in the absolute most, I don't know, like to minimize it as much as possible. Cause let me see something real quick. Let me just double check. I'm not going to say something incorrect here, but like I had a software sales job in 2018 and I was able to like support us in the Bay Area on what I made. And hang on. Yeah, I've made more money in the last 90 days than I did that entire year by a fucking fair amount. So working hard pays off nicely. You know what I mean? Work your fucking balls off. But wait, so Pierce tries handling Candace, but you could tell she wasn't having it. I watched Pierce and Steven Crowder, and Steve treats him like a school kid. I guess there's I was in the Bay Area. Now I'm in Austin, Texas. It was there. There's like a big fucking thing about Pierce Morgan's wife, apparently. Oh man, it's for a different stream. But it has it's been comical, dude. Like it has been absolutely comical because apparently she's like Akash's wife, except worse. Worse, dude. Thank you very much, Ariana. Gabrielle says, I just got us tickets to see the lights on the 23rd. It'll be something fun to do with my mom. Okay. Boom. Yay. Coco County, son. That's right. I have that shit tattooed on my stomach, bro, from when I was inside. Just kidding. But Coco County, dude. That's right. It's so funny because I think of Contra Costa County as like fucking, like, I don't know, ritzy Pussyville, but it's like, not all of it, not all of it. Yeah. So that's where, like when Nick Fuentes was on there, that's how all the shit with Pierce's wife came out, was because, Pierce Morgan was like, you've never had sex with a woman, have you, Nick Fuentes? And he's like, no, I haven't. He's like, so what are you doing talking about women? You've never even been inside of one. It's like, relax, Pierce. All right, relax. And then the Groypers were like, well, let's see what kind of women Pierce has been inside. And then they fucking find out that his wife is a Jezebel. The only reason I haven't covered that is because Pierce actually invited me on his show. And I'm like, I don't want to be a guy who's done a video about his wife and just kind of nuke that relationship forever. But, on other corners of the internet, that was a story that went ham, I can't believe TPUSA let Ben say the things he said. I didn't see yet. Bieber Hole 69. Something tells me that is not your actual picture. I don't think that this person in the photo is all, I know what I'll name myself. Bieber Hole 69. Thank you for the super chat. No, Pierce wanted me to come on to talk about the Thomas Crooks thing. Like it was when I did the thing right after what's his name? Tucker Carlson did that expose, then they hit me up and asked if I wanted to come on and talk about that. But Erica's not a bombshell, though. The only thing pretty about her is her hair, which I don't believe. Listen, she's just not my type. So I'm not the right person to ask, dude. Tall and blonde is the opposite of my taste. Nothing against tall blondes, dude. Just not my bag. It makes it very convenient because, like, you know, tall blondes that are used to, like, this has been my experience with tall, pretty blondes my whole life, was like, they are like, they like love me because these tall, beautiful blondes are used to these guys just fucking creeping on them. And they're like, they could just tell I'm like, nah, not interested. And they're like, I like him. He's definitely not trying to have sex with me, unlike all of these other guys. I'm like, you're right, I'm not. I like them small and exotic looking and brunette, like Gabrielle. So wait, so tell me what happened with Nicolette. Thank you for the thank you. Yeah, I'm so glad I found your channel. As you make my day so funny. Thank you for being you, very talented, smart, and you. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. I love entertaining people, man. If you guys want to make my day, anytime I make you laugh in a fucking video, just timestamp it in the comments. Because I'm always curious which jokes land, you know? You just don't know. You get no feedback. You're just going like I think that's why it's so hard for people to be like funny in this role, is you get no feedback. Like you tell a joke and you're like, I think that'll be funny. Like I have a feeling people are going to like that, but you never find out, you know? You never find out. Why would I be demonetized? What'd I say? Wait, really? He said, Ben Shapiro said, when he said he called her wicked, evil, spewing. Of course he did, dude. Ariana, if I go on tour, you'll go to the show? Because we've talked about it. I'm at like your jokes are definitely landing. Yes. Thank you, sir. We I'm in a group chat with Heavy Duty Country, Nate, Ian Carroll, now Jake Shields, JD, and we've talked about going on tour like a lot. I'm thinking dude, I'm down. I don't think the money would it's not like I don't even care about the money. It'd just be super fun. You know, holy moly. Thank you for the super chat. Casey has registered for Ohio governor's race. America First guy. You'll love this guy. YouTube channel, Casey the Car Guy. Casey the Car Guy. And he's registering for Jesus. If he's going to run for governor, at least change his fucking name from Casey the Car Guy. You know, or I guess he's all, this worked for the My Pillow guy. So I'll just, I'll be Casey the Car Guy. Dude, governor is like a serious position. Although I guess, you could say that you want to murder, all the Republicans that still get elected to attorney general. So, why not? Casey the Car Guy.
It's generally known that the New York Times is leftist propaganda. So why is it that Vivek Ramaswamy, a Republican candidate for the governor of Ohio, is authoring an article entitled, "What is an American?" Well, considering he's an Indian anchor baby, that makes zero sense. But considering the fact that he's a globalist Trojan horse, yeah, actually that tracks. Which is also the reason why we all hate him, and I am also running as a Republican candidate for the governor of Ohio, specifically to stop Vivek and save the state.
All right. Well, that's him. And we got Chris back, so we're going to actually discuss important things now, okay? We're going to talk about Bongino. And again, for those of you guys who do not understand who Chris Piehota is, he was a division chief at the FBI, which meant that he reported to the deputy director. It's literally appointed position, Chris. So the absolute top of the FBI hierarchy that is not appointed by the president. So the most credible person you can ask about FBI stuff. And here he is. What's up, man?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep. You got me?
I do. Thank God. All right. Hey, I apologize. I was gone a little bit longer. Yeah, I was gone a little bit longer than I planned. I apologize to you in the audience. So I'm glad to be back and ready to take on some heat from the audience.
Nice, man. All right, so let's talk about Bongino. So like tell me your thoughts on his tenure and anything that you feel comfortable saying about Bongino, sure, since you're probably the most insider person we'll ever talk to about what it's like to be deputy director of the FBI.
Okay, a couple of things first. Deputy director position, the most senior FBI career special agent in the organization. They are the operations chief. They oversee all operations, investigations, and field office activity. That's what it used to be. I'll get to the changes in a little bit.
Just for 1 second. I'm going to leave you on stage and I'll be right back. Go
sure. Okay, so when you're looking at the deputy director position, very, very demanding, crushing responsibility. Although the director is an FBI director, a political appointee, the deputy director actually runs the organization day to day. And he, or there hasn't been a she, but a she at some point, if that happens, they are the boss. The day-to-day operations and investigations and activities that make the FBI run. So when you're looking at that type of a role, you have to have a very in-depth knowledge of how the FBI conducts its business, how it conducts operations, what its authorities are, and how it is the FBI. And that's why it's usually a very senior special agent.
Is that person appointed also, or is it
No, they're not appointed. What happens is the director will select somebody to be the deputy director. It's approved over at the Department of Justice, right? Even my position that I was in, I was an executive assistant director. My position had to be approved by the Attorney General. So for those top positions, the Attorney General has to concur. So, but the director himself is, the political appointee. Right now it's Kash Patel. And Dan Bongino, let's talk about that. I know prior to his current tour of duty with the FBI, he was former Secret Service guy. And before that, he was a New York PD guy, NYPD. And that was many moons ago. So he became a very staunch critic of many things in the government on his own podcasts and shows. And when he was requested to become the FBI deputy director, he accepted because I think he had very good intent on helping come in to reform FBI business and FBI activity, right? Because the FBI had a couple of rough years during the Biden administration of some really kind of messed up operational activities and choices, right? It was kind of messed up. So I think Bongino comes in, but the problem with Bongino is he's not a senior FBI agent. He doesn't know how the organization runs. He doesn't know how to do FBI investigative work or operational work. He's been away from the law enforcement field for decades, right? And he walks in and he's expected to start changing the organization. He doesn't even know how the organization works. So he was at a deficit. He didn't have anybody around him, I don't think, that could help him get up to speed as quickly as he had to. That is not an on-the-job training position. You can't get there and say, well, I'll figure it out in a year or so, right? That's just not going to happen. So Bongino comes in, good intent. I think he didn't understand the weight and the gravity of the position that he took. And one time he was on Fox News complaining about long hours and he's away from his wife and, all that kind of stuff. And I'm thinking, it is a privilege to be the deputy director of the FBI. The FBI, your number 2 guy there. Mm-hmm. It's a privilege. You cannot go on TV and complain. I think that was a bad form. But I don't think he understood what he got himself into. I think he was a bit overmatched. He didn't have a good group of people around him to help him call bullshit on things or to let him know when people might have been giving him the razzle dazzle. Because I could sit in a room with those folks and they can give me their presentation and I could say, gentlemen, that's bullshit. What about this? And how about that? And who's doing this? And why isn't that done? And who screwed that up? And blah, 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 blah. I could do that because I've been there forever, right? I was there for a quarter of a
decades
century.
of experience in their roles. So you're like,
Right.
come on.
Hey, and I might have been one of the bullshitters at one point. So I know the bullshit, right?
Yeah.
So the problem is he doesn't. And then I think what they did too, Jesse, is they changed the position before he came on board. It wasn't what he thought it was going to be. They lessened the operational impact and authority of the deputy director before he got there. So
And
Cash Patel changed that position.
How did they do that?
Well, the deputy director used to be in charge of all investigative work. All field offices reported to the deputy director. For any investigative work, went to the deputy, right? I mean, as it rose through the chain of command, he was the ultimate arbiter at the end of that. What we're going to do, how we're going to do it, prioritization, things of that sort. They took and separated all the field offices among other people. They created these other positions. Cash Patel rearranged some of the FBI hierarchy. And now Dan Bongino I'm sorry?
Cash did that?
Yeah.
From his extensive experience in managing, 50,000 people, organizations, or being an FBI leadership. Like that sounds, I didn't know that. That sounds crazy to me in general. And just honestly, just like a super quick comment on what you were saying about Bongino is like, for me, it would be like, if I was thrown into that role, that my kind of first handful of, months would be super simple. I would interview the division heads and I would pick who I think is the most competent and I would make them my fucking shadow. And I'd be like, teach me this job. Like, show me, like, walk me through all of this. Like, what am I missing and all of that? Cause like you have to know enough to know you don't know enough. You know what I mean? And it's
exactly.
Like, yeah. And a Secret Service agent, I mean, like, obviously I, as a dumb fuck, podcaster, I look at a Secret Service agent, I'm like, damn, that's pretty, had a lot of inside view, but I also understand how organizations work. And it's like, your job was protecting a principle. Like, what on earth does that have to do? Because honestly, if I was going to choose between someone who had a level of law enforcement in kind of an individual contributor, like a detective or something, or someone who's been the chief revenue officer at a gigantic tech company that has 40,000, like I'm taking that guy. Because like that's a more important skill set, is the ability to kind of manage from the top down in a gigantic organization. Because at least you know how you do that, like how you manage groups that large and how you delegate and then how you have them report back to you and all of that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I think that's where both him and Cash were caught a bit short in the leadership and organizational management background. I think they were both caught a little bit short on that. Right.
Yeah.
And I think when you come into an organization like the FBI or any other large organization and you come in and you want to kick ass, I don't think that's a great way to make an entry, even though you tell folks, hey, we got to make some changes here. We got to do some things. We got to upgrade or update. And, people get that. But when you come in with that whole, we're going to kick ass, and folks don't really like that a whole lot. But I will say that when Cash came in and realigned the FBI, he just kind of rearranged the deck chairs on his own Titanic. Right. Yeah. And when they did it, I didn't understand the logic in it. The old system worked fine. It was a great command and control system. It's just, he didn't have the right folks in it. So no matter what system you put together, if you put the wrong folks in it, it's not going to work well. Okay. Yeah. So when Bongino got there, the role that he was supposed to take and have this great impact was shrunk down to where he only was in charge of 3 field offices. Right. The biggest ones, but there were only 3.
So
and they split up all the other
division heads report to then?
To these people, they took the EAD positions like I had, and they renamed them as operations directors.
Okay.
So then they split the country up in a bunch of different pieces, and those sectors report into different operations managers. Bongino's in charge of the New York field office, the Los Angeles field office, and Washington field, because they're so big and they have assistant directors that actually sit in the offices. All the other offices have special agents in charge that run the offices. So they did this kind of a hocus pocus on, with org charts and stuff, right? But to me, it didn't change the culture of the organization. It didn't change all the things that people are concerned about. Org chart futzing doesn't change that.
Yeah.
And that's where I think Bongino became frustrated over time. He doesn't have a big role. He doesn't have the power that he thought he was going to have.
Whatever
and I think
they're doing on Epstein too, and he's like, he clearly didn't seem that he agreed with that.
no, I think there was some organizational friction on that too, right? He had a different opinion, and he was probably told to shut up and sit down, which didn't sit well with him.
Yeah, come sit next to me while we tell the American people that don't worry about it. He really did kill himself, and there's no files. It's like,
yeah,
this is not a good plan.
Right. But he was trying to be a good soldier. Let's put it that way. Right.
Yeah, of course.
And I think at this point, with this whole Epstein thing supposed to come out in the next few days and all this stuff, he's probably thinking, I've had enough of this shit. I don't need it. I can't do what I thought I was going to be able to do. It's time for me to go.
Yeah. And it might also just be that, like, you guys forced my hand to go out there and lie to people. And now the files are getting released. Like, you nuked my credibility and I trusted you. Well, actually, I didn't want to do this anyway. And now you fucked my credibility.
Well, I
have some thoughts on that. Hang on. Let me just catch up on this real quick. Okay. So Brandon Hunson says, politics and MMA have been the forefront of my existence for 20 to 38 years. Politics and current events have caused almost all of my misery. It must be a sign from God to seek something new. Hey, I got something new for you, dude. Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua are fighting tonight. And unless it is a fix, Anthony Joshua will decapitate Jake Paul. There is no, like, Brendan Schaub literally said, Jake Paul has a better chance of curing cancer than beating Anthony Joshua, which is 100% accurate. I would go a step further, which is he has a better chance of curing cancer than lasting 2 rounds maximum against it. Like, if he's still standing after 2 rounds, they're juking it. It's an exhibition where they're not knocking each other out, which I think is highly probable.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say. Is it an actual fight or is it an exhibition?
Exactly. And that's what happened with Tyson. And it's like, they announced it was an exhibition for the Tyson fight. Then Roy Jones Jr. did an interview with Pacquiao, and he literally said in that interview that they weren't allowed to knock each other out, that they were allowed to go 100% to the body, but they weren't allowed to punch each other hard in the head. And I heard it and then I forgot it. Like, because then they're all, oh no, we made it a real pro fight. And then when I was watching it within 2 rounds, I'm like, oh, they're doing a fucking exhibition, dude.
Right.
Because you were watching like the footage of Tyson before, like when he was hitting pads, he was moving around the ring. I'm like, he's gonna kill him, dude. Like, if everybody's like, oh, he's fucking 58. I'm like, are you watching this footage? He's going to fucking kill him. Like, this is not like, this is a different fucking ball game.
Even a 58-year-old Iron Mike Tyson is a fearsome guy.
Dude, on all the juice. On all the juice, dude. Come on.
Yeah. So, but yeah.
That's hilarious. But okay, so what I was gonna say though about like Bongino and my kind of thoughts on the FBI and all that, or just this in general, was like, it's interesting to think about how, like an organizational, what's the right way to put this? Like like, who do you owe your, like, who is owed success in this organization at the end of the day? So like, if you're talking about Apple, it is public shareholders and the board. Most companies that are public, you owe it to the board and the public shareholders. And then in private organizations, it ultimately is the board and the investors are breaking your balls and whatever. Right. But like, and then there are certain, areas of the government that function at such an inefficient and like embarrassing level. Like, that you want to show everybody why communism doesn't work. Why don't you send a fucking email to someone at the IRS? Oh, you can't? Oh, you can't fucking email anyone. You have to send something certified fucking mail because you can't email them. It's because they have no competition. They have they don't answer to anybody. And like, it's like FedEx is a weird example because it sounds like a government thing, but it's not. It's a private organization. Okay, if I take it to FedEx and I'm like, hey, can I call customer service? They're like, nope, you have to send certified mail. You're all cool. I'll go use UPS, which forces them to be competent. So like with the FBI, it's weird because I was just thinking about it. It's like, so if the FBI does a bad job, like, or does a good job or bad job, like, who's the ultimate boss? And literally it just comes down to essentially it's the public's opinion of how well they're doing which reflects on the current administration, and the administration then puts the pressure on the FBI to do a good job, so it reflects better on them, unless people are just purely like, I am actually driven by what the mission of this job is, which is public safety, holding criminals accountable. And it's like with an organization that large, you're going to have some people that could drive their entire careers. Like, I want to protect people, and I'm sure that those people really like, kind of rise to the top of the organization. And then it just seems like it would be impossible to have an organization that large where there's not going to be so much bullshit, like a lot of bullshitters in there. They're like, listen, this guy's saying this, and just wrong motivations lead to bad outcomes. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I mean, how much would you attribute like weird stuff inside the Bureau to just like top down political pressure from people whose motives have nothing to do with the actual mission of the FBI?
No, there's a good amount of it. That's where the leadership comes in, leadership quality, right? It used to be the FBI could stand and push back. They could fight. They would say, we're not going to do that, right? And they've lost that over time. They lost that spine that they used to have. And hey, people ask me, is the FBI 100% apolitical? No, absolutely not. It's a Washington, D.C. entity. You have to learn how to navigate political issues while keeping your core mission objectivity. And the FBI used to be a lot better about that. The FBI in recent years has become, since, Director Comey came in, it became much more of a openly political leaning organization. It started under Comey and it, went through Wray, and then in the last years under Biden, it really accelerated. And you could see where the FBI was not making good, objective, apolitical positions. But here's the problem. Any organization you have the size of the FBI, you're going to have people in there who are of different ideology. They are politically leaning. And the FBI as an organization failed a long time ago when it stopped requiring its own culture to be picked up by the new people. The FBI capitulated to the new people and said, well, we got to get with the times and we got to start doing things, right? And that's where the FBI started failing. Instead, when I came in, it was like, hey, this is the way the Bureau does it. And we don't really care what you think. This is the way we do it. And you ever hear that old saying, there are two ways to do things. There's the Bureau way and the wrong way.
Yeah.
Right. It's the same thing when you join the Marine Corps. You don't go to Paris Island and go say, well, we think that this, and we really don't like this or that. And we think no, there's the Marine Corps way and the wrong. Yeah, but there's a Marine Corps way and the wrong way.
Yeah.
And the FBI lost that. And we started becoming that modern corporate FBI. And that's what's really, really screwed things up. Or you can't just tell people, get out there, figure it out. You're here to protect the American people. You're here to uphold the Constitution, and you're here to be a professional FBI agent. You'll get a EEO complaint against you for hostile work environment now. That's how things work now. Until we can get back to saying, why are you here? What do you expect to do here? And we were told very clearly, you conduct a director's business. You're here to do FBI stuff. Shut the hole under your nose. Yeah. And that was that. So
yeah, I mean, I look at it too, like in the chain of events that led to after that podcast that he did with his girlfriend, I can't say anything other than just call it like a clown show, at least from the optics position. And I think what led us to this point in my analysis would be you have Trump get elected and a bunch of very powerful Washington insiders and people who are used to being able to kind of, control things now they can't do that. So you have a bunch of people who decide like this guy can't be president. So they all start collaborating and they're like, we just need to make sure that we jam him up for 4 years. He gets out of here. We protect as much as we can. And then at the same time, you have Comey become like a almost near like just straight up public conspirator in working against the administration. So Trump, that first of all, the American people notice it and everybody's like, what the fuck, man? And so it makes them not trust the Bureau, makes them not trust the CIA because you got Brennan out there doing the same thing. And then when you know, Biden gets in and Trump is still going to run, they're doing it even more overtly because now they really have carte blanche to kind of go nuts. Then you have Trump come in, and as a result of that, Trump's like, I can't have people that I don't trust in these leadership positions. And so he goes, I trust these two guys that are completely fucking unqualified, and he puts them in there because it's better to have guys that he trusts in these leadership roles for him than to have whoever would be competent for the Bureau in there, and he's not sure if they're going to fucking railroad him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's looking at the lesser of two evils. Yeah. Do I look for highly capable people, or do I look for highly loyal people?
Yeah.
Right. And in this instance, he can't get both.
Yeah.
Right. Or at least he didn't. At least that what it looks like.
Yeah.
And that's where I think he's made a mistake. Trump has a problem picking the right people. Okay. And when he picked Patel, he picked someone who he thought was a loyalist and who was going to go in and had, talked a lot of smack about the FBI and everything. And he was going to go in there and just kick ass. Right.
He said he was going to shut down the building. Yeah, the J. Edgar Hoover building.
Yeah, that was all just podcast stuff. And he was talking shit. That's fine. Yeah. But when he got there, he saw, I can't do that. Right. You talk all that smack. And that's why I say to these folks is like, you got to separate entertainment from operational decision making. Right. Yeah. The stuff that he said on podcasts, he's promoting his book and all that stuff. Okay. But when you finally get on scene, what are you actually going to do to run and reform at the same time the FBI? Mm-hmm. Right. And that's where I think his tune changed on a lot of stuff. When he got there and they gave him a bunch of guys and ladies in suits came in and said, okay, Mr. Director, here's what you're responsible for now. And he's sitting there saying, are you kidding me? He's
like, when am I going to get to go to country music concerts and watch my girl? Right. Like, I'm going to need the jet. How am I supposed to do all this fucking work and also live my life? Yeah. Hey, who do I talk to about the jet?
But Jesse, a lot of folks make jokes about federal workers, and everything. And there's some dead wood in there. But like FBI agents will generally work at least a 10-hour day every day.
Oh, I believe
every day. All right. Yeah. If not more. Right. And then they're working 12, 14-hour days, or working weekends, or working nights. And people are saying, well, that's what you're supposed to do as an FBI agent and a police officer. Agreed. Because that's when I used to tell folks all the time, the friggin' bad guys are so inconsiderate that they only do their shit at night and on weekends. Right. And they don't do it, 9 to 5, like, when you'd prefer, that you'd be on work.
Yeah, if you're running surveillance on the mafia from like 7 a.m. to noon, probably not going to get a lot of fucking good stuff.
No, that's not when they do business. But but the problem is that people have that opinion, and I tell folks, well, that's the kind of business we're in, right? It sucks, but we do it so other people can live good lives. We've stepped in to do that, and a lot of people used to believe that, like we were that line that the underbelly of society couldn't cross. We were that line, and I think now people don't have that opinion anymore. It's like they're scared, and I've heard people have told me this too, like all of the new folks, and I'm not disparaging the newer generations of folks, but I think they just have a different thought process. I was having a meeting with somebody who I used to work with. They're still at the Bureau, and they said, they hear from the new folks or the younger folks, however you want to refer to them. They said, all we hear now is what's in it for them. How does this help them? How does this enrich them? And all that stuff. And when I came in and we were younger, newer guys, I had a supervisor one time, and we went out and did a weekend surveillance, and somebody said, hey, can we take some time off this week to make up for the time we worked this weekend? And he goes, no. He goes, you fucking new guys, you don't understand. That's the job, and you just get shafted. And I was like, okay, got it.
Yeah, I would have felt weird. I would have manipulated someone else to ask that question. I'd have been like,
oh, hey, yeah, believe me, I didn't ask that question.
Yeah,
I didn't ask that. No, I didn't ask that question.
Yeah.
But somebody did, and that's the response they got, and they didn't like it, but it's true. But now the FBI, get this, I'll give you a quick example of the changes at the Bureau. At the J. Edgar Hoover building, FBI headquarters is always a place that's stressed and cramped for space, office space. There's too many people in the building. But during the Biden years, the leadership decided it was a good idea to start giving people meditation rooms.
Like in
And
Google?
yeah. And they gave them actual paid time. So when you were in the middle of something, you could say, oh, I need some stress time. I got to go out and I got to collect myself. And then you could almost like, remember when the military did the whole like stress card shit a bunch of years ago?
No, and I'm glad I don't know about that.
Okay. Yeah. Complete jackassery.
Fucking-
But you know, here you are in the middle of FBI stuff, right? And we're the heavy lifters, we're the shit kickers, right? When it comes to certain things. And you could say, oh, I'm feeling kind of stressed right now. I need a break. And then they go out and they take a stress break.
in the
And
military.
these people, no,
Or
at the
the FBI.
bureau. Yeah, at the bureau. And I was horrified. I said, what? Excuse me? They're doing what? And yeah, these were formalized programs by the leadership because they wanted to be like Google and other people. So that's what happened. That's why I tell people the culture changed, the leadership buckled. Instead of saying, you joined us, we didn't join you.
Yeah. Fuck
Right?
you. Stress time, dude. What do you think
Yeah.
this job is, dude? You're an FBI agent.
Right. And you know what, Jesse, let me ask you a question. What do you expect when you see FBI agents? What is your mental picture?
Dude, I was going to say, like, there's, to me, I don't know how other people see it. There's like a level of super pristine to someone being an FBI agent. Like in my mind, it's like, oh shit. You know, like if I meet someone, they're like, oh, yeah, he's an FBI agent. I'd be like, oh shit. You know,
Right.
and like someone who's super buttoned up, you know, you know, I know that generally speaking, like, you know, there are agents like I know that there are a lot of undercover guys that kind of carry it like, you know, that are a little bit different than your like normal like G-men guys, but they're like serious guys. Like FBI people are serious people.
Yeah, they should show up. They should look zipped up tight. They should be professional, competent, right? When they leave, you should say, ooh, I'm glad those guys are out there looking out for me, right?
Yeah.
Squared away, folks, professional, courteous, you know, all that stuff. And that kind of stuff just went away. It just kind of faded away when all the old timers left and it just went away. And I think I'm not disparaging the newer folks. Everybody's gonna say, oh, you're shitting on the new people. No, I'm not. But I don't think that, and who I blame the FBI. I don't blame the new folks. I blame the Bureau.
I think I think that is a symptom of a much larger thing because, you know, like I don't know. It probably has to do with how old I am now, but like I know a lot of people who are in very, very, very important like leadership positions in like all kinds of different sectors. And when I hear the same story from them in like all over the place, I'll give you a perfect example. Like one of my good buddies, his name's Rick. He's the chief revenue officer for a really big publicly traded software company. And when we hung out, he was telling me about the new policy that's just, and like this is like across the board. It's not just his company, it's all over the place in, you know, on all the Silicon Valley companies, where if one of your people comes to you and they say that they're having a mental health issue, they can take indeterminate amount of paid time off. Like you're talking like a year, 18 months, where they're just like, listen, man, my mental health's not holding up. And so as the chief revenue officer, he sits atop a sales organization that's fucking gigantic. He's still responsible for the number no matter what. Like that's what people think, like, oh, this, you know, the C-level guys just sit around and they're doing whatever. It's like, no. All of your responsibility rolls up to your manager, all theirs rolls up to their manager, and then all of that rolls up to the CRO. And it's like, and he's trying to hit his number while managing a team where integrated into the formalized rules of the org, any individual contributor who decides that their mental health is not holding up, which is fucking every salesperson who's behind their quota in history, they could just go, hey, I need some time out. And they sit at home for potentially a year, and and he can't backfill the role. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's like the org is like, you have this much budget, you hire the people. So if 5, 10, 15 of them are out doing mental health, you can't backfill the role, but your number is still the same. You still owe your quarterlies to the public shareholders and to the fucking board. You think the board is going to give a fuck when you go there and you're like, you know, hey, we're tracking behind, but listen, man, I've got like 10, 15 people doing this mental
Don't
health
care.
shit. They don't care. They don't care. No one cares. It's a result. Like you are responsible for a number. That's your fucking problem. And if you try to tell him that as a result of your policies, I can't do this. I mean, he always he's a fucking savage. He always hits his number, but it's just good.
Yeah,
I
still.
remember something. I'm like, are you fucking serious? I couldn't believe it. I'm like, then I talked to one of my other buddies who's the global president of sales in another org. And I was like, hey man, he was telling me this. He's like, yeah, dude, I did exactly the same thing. I'm like, so that's industry wide. They're just fucking, I'm having mental health problems and they get a year off paid. Like, what the fuck is insane?
Well, we become a weak society, right? We tolerate that nonsense. And what happens is as society moves, so does the government, right? Because you want to get elected and you want to, represent your constituents. Well, here's the problem I used to tell folks is, yeah, I get that, but we're in the job in the role and responsibility of protecting the American people from national security threats and crime problems. I can't have a bunch of people who are going to go on mental, fatigue days because they just don't feel like doing stuff. What we do I used to have this thing I told people, if it doesn't suck, we don't do it. Right? It has to suck for us to be involved. And you better learn to love it because that's what we do, right? And people lost that, not everybody. There's some hardcore shit kickers still out there, right? But a lot of the folks are like, hey, it's 5 o'clock. I got to get home for my kid's soccer game. I'm thinking, we're in the middle of something here, right? And, we're trying to keep people safe and just the mentality's changed. And that's where I think Cash should be putting his thoughts as the strategic leader of the FBI. Let's get that culture back of kick and tail, right? And, not kicking snow around up in Rhode Island or kneeling for BLM.
That shit.
BLM people, right?
That? The FBI doesn't kneel to people. You're afraid of the FBI.
Well, that's the whole point. And and some of them were fired. I guess a bunch of them were fired for it recently. I don't think they should have been fired. Okay. What I think is they should have been reprimanded, maybe demoted out of some supervisory roles, but not fired. Right.
Yeah,
I don't think they should have been fired. I think what you had there was a leadership failure from the people at the main office and the people on site. And they also sent a bunch of people out there, honestly, that shouldn't have been there. I think most of them were females.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm not saying females can't handle stuff, but here's what I want. If I'm sending some bureau agents down to a potential, area of friction, I'm calling my violent crime squad and I'm saying, hey, get some of your biggest, meanest dudes, send them down there, keep the peace. Right. Yeah. So when people are walking by and they want to start some shit and they see a bunch of guys that look like linebackers with friggin' guns and web gear on, they're gonna say, all right, yeah, okay, we're good. Right.
It's law enforcement.
They sent a bunch of people.
Yeah. People should be afraid. Like what what I mean? It's like not if they're doing nothing wrong, obviously not afraid, but if you're doing nothing wrong, you want to look over there and be like, all right, those guys have my back, talking to a Fed should make you nervous.
Well, but they that's what I mean. You lack that command presence that they used to have. Here's another thing, right? My son is he's active duty military. He's a Green Beret, right? So him and all of his buddies do all the Green Beret stuff. They have tattoos all over and they all look a certain way. And my wife and I were talking one time about something. And I said, well, I guarantee you those people wouldn't have started any shit if Matthew, my son, and a couple of his buddies were there because of the way they look. Yeah. Versus the folks who were victimized by these scumbags, right? So that's what I mean. Some of that is presence. That's your first escalation on that force continuum is presence.
100%.
If you show up,
listen, I intentionally carry it a certain way, like in my entire life, where you carry it a certain way because you're like, they're not gonna pick me. Like I'm walking around with my family, they're gonna be like you're like a big dog. You know what I mean? You're just like a big dog that they're walking around with.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
There's a couple of super chats real quick. So
let's hit them.
Justin Patterson says, "Fucking love you, brother. You are the shorter, younger, red-haired version of me, dude. I am that with a lot of people. Heavy Duty Country is, by the way, now hang out with him in person. He's fucking lives up to that moniker. He's fucking huge, dude. That's a big boy right there. And then Chrissy, are you a devil dog? Were you a Marine?
Me?
Yeah.
I was not in the Marine Corps. No, I have nothing but respect for the Marines, but I did not serve with the Corps.
Yeah. And then Justin, ask him if he knows John Dubin. Do you know John Dubin?
Name doesn't sound immediately familiar, but the Bureau, I'll tell you, people think that, you get the Bureau and you know people. The Bureau is a very large, small-time operation, right? There are people that you never meet in your whole time with the FBI. It's just a really big, small-time operation, and I haven't had the pleasure.
You remind me, we talked about this last night. How many people work for the FBI again?
The last numbers I heard was about 38,000.
It's a big org, dude.
And but see, what people think is that there's this mistaken idea that there are 38,000 FBI agents. The FBI agent cadre right now is around 13,000 for the whole country, right? So if you take that in comparison, NYPD in the 5 boroughs of New York City, there are about 40,000 NYPD cops in the 5 boroughs.
And
now you have 13
for the whole nation.
Yeah, 13,000 FBI agents for the whole country.
Yeah.
So not
it
that big
like
of a
lot, but then when you put it in perspective like that, it's like, oh, never mind.
Yeah, right. I mean, think about it.
Group. It's an elite group that doesn't need fucking mental health breaks.
Well, they're a specialized group, and they shouldn't be acting like pussies, right?
Yeah. All right. I wanted to put this on real quick just because I think that this does a perfect job of illustrating the point that we were making, because this is the CIA recruitment video that they put out a few years ago that literally I almost fucking died when I saw this.
When I was 17, I quoted Zora Neale Hurston's How It Feels to Be Colored Me in my college application essay. The line that spoke to me stated simply, I am not tragically colored. There is no sorrow dammed up in my soul nor lurking behind my eyes. I do not mind at all. At 17, I had no idea what life would bring, but Zora's sentiment articulated so beautifully how I felt as a daughter of immigrants then and now. Nothing about me was or is tragic. I am perfectly made.
I disagree.
I can wax eloquent on complex legal issues in English while also belting Guayaquil de mis amores in Spanish. I can change a diaper with one hand and console a crying toddler with the other. I'm a woman of color. I am a mom. I am a cisgender millennial who's been diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder. I am intersectional, but my existence is not a box-checking exercise. I am a walking declaration.
Then why the fuck did you check your boxes in this commercial? You know? Jesus.
But, Jesse, let me ask you a question, man.
Yeah.
Is that who you want protecting national security for the United States?
And is that who you want representing you when the foreign adversaries? That's who the CIA bangs with. That's what you want them looking at. They're going to watch this. They're going to be like, hey, this bitch has a generalized anxiety disorder. Let's figure out some ways to put some anxiety in her fucking life. You know?
I just think we went down a really bad road a couple years ago with all of the social justice and all the, whatever you want to call it. And I just think that it was the army thing with Emma's 2 moms and all that garbage.
Oh,
and I think, I think they've gotten away from it now. Largely, I've seen some of the newer military kind of hype videos, they call them. They're pretty good. They've done a good job. Yeah, I mean, the Air Force one. Yeah, the Air Force one's outstanding.
That one's
so
awesome.
And the Marine one. The Marines are always good, right? The Marine, But
it's just one of those things where, like, I don't know, when people are critical of the Trump administration, which of course, like, dude, there's always people are going to make bad calls when every decision that they make is like very fucking visible for the most part. It's like, of course, everybody's gonna fuck shit up, But when people go really hard on them, where they're like, oh my God, we shouldn't have elected these guys. I'm like, guys, I think that you don't remember what this was like, a few years ago. I feel like people's memories are very, very short. We were like, do you guys not remember what happened during the pandemic? Do you not remember the fucking woke CIA commercial? This happened. This was just right back. Remember the event at the White House when Biden had the fucking topless transgender people there?
Yeah.
Do you guys? I know it seems like a fever dream, but this is not very distant past. Everything is objectively way better now than it was. Very, very.
I'll tell you something, right? I worked with some folks at the agency after 9/11, And some of the stuff we were doing after 9/11 was kind of rough. It was like, big boy rules, right?
Yeah.
And the folks that I was talking to at the agency, they were frightening people. I mean, these were frightening people.
Yeah.
And to see that they went from that to the commercial with the depressed cis, transgender, whatever, it's like, what happened? How did the culture there change so badly and quickly toward that versus the guys that I met at the agency? They were, like I said, they were scary people. These were people that if you thought about CIA, that's who these guys were, the people that, okay, yeah, they're agency guys, right? But same thing with the bureau. When you used to meet up with bureau guys, you say, yep, that's the bureau, And now it's just different, and the cultures have changed. And I think I was telling somebody one day, the remedy to a lot of this stuff is that, like, it's like that movie Back to the Future. We got to look back, see what was good, take that and reintroduce it into today's organizations, and try to get these people back online. When you look at, let me ask you this: when you saw the current FBI director on that podcast, and you saw the interaction he was having with his significant other and the podcast host, and you said, "Are you kidding me? This is the sitting FBI director." What do you think what should we do about that? He's the bellwether official. He's the excuse me. He's the guy who everybody looks to set an example. What do we do about that?
I mean, I have no idea because, according to him, they talked about firing him, and him and the president laughed about it. But it's like, because the thing is like, if you keep your mouth shut, like if people just keep their mouths shut and look serious, they will make assumptions about a person who is quiet naturally because they got nothing to go on, But like once you break that, open and you start talking, like you can't put that genie back in the bottle. Like he can't turn into like stoic, scary Robert Mueller now, like that's a wrap for you, I mean, theoretically he could kind of start to go back to it. I mean, people's memories are short. If he just, if Trump was like, guy, you can't, like, no more. I don't want anyone looking at you unless you are,
Right.
Carry it like, I mean, I don't feel like I got that good of an idea of Christopher Wray. Like I saw him questioned a little bit, on Congress, but like he I don't know. I didn't get the same feeling. Like I kind of could imagine exactly what it would be like to be in a room with Comey or Mueller, like we talked about last night. And like, but yeah, I mean, like there's supposed to be a quiet mystique about a person who is in a leadership position of that type, where they have the power to fucking destroy your life and to catch criminals. Like they have tremendous power because you need people in positions like that to protect us from everybody else. And like, I don't know what you do with cash. Like, I mean, you just, I mean, I don't know. Like, honestly, I got the exact same feeling watching that as when I watched this commercial, like identical, like literally, I didn't even put that together until just right now. Watching that is exactly like watching Cash on that podcast for me.
Yeah.
Agree?
So it gives you the image that you don't want, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't. I mean, a lot of folks are Kash Patel fans, and I'm not saying I don't think he's done some good things and he's made some progress on some things, but largely he hasn't done anything to, as he would put it, fix the FBI.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't know where to start.
And that's the part of the problem too, is, you can rearrange the deck chairs on the Titanic all you want, but until you can go in there and actually make some cultural changes, it's just not gonna happen. And that's why I think we keep seeing some of these challenges with the organization and its people. So I do think though that he's done some good work on a street tactical level, arresting a bunch of nickel and dime scumbag drug dealers, right?
That's exactly where I okay. So the point I was like, when I originally was saying that ultimately your ultimate supervision is the public in that role, right? When I was making that point before, I actually, that was like the original point that I was making actually in my mind, was that if you think about it like that, because every time that they talk about it, he's quoting statistics of how many
Right.
arrests they made, whatever. And I'm just brought back to how dysfunctional the Baltimore Police Department is that I know of just because of the publicity around that particular department is I know,
Yeah.
juking the stats. And that's what it sounds like. Like, listen, I want as many, child traffickers in prison or dead as possible. I want as many people who are pushing fentanyl, in prison or whatever. Like this is, I'm not bagging them for making arrests, but it feels like, I don't know if like the incentive structure's off, but I think of, FBI fentanyl. It's like, I want them to bust big people, like people who are in leadership positions and who are above. And I honestly, I don't know if they're doing that or not, but like, just playing the stat game, I sniff out the stat game just because I've seen it in, smaller environments.
Yeah. And I think stats without context, at first I used to call it the baffling them with bullshit approach. You start throwing numbers at everything. It sounds like you're doing a lot of stuff and it's great. To me, it's like, well, what are the outcomes of this? Or what did we accomplish on a strategic level with this? Yeah, we took all these scumbags off the streets, but okay. And that's an immediate benefit for sure for that community. But why weren't we doing it before? What's going to happen when we stop this push? Are these people even being prosecuted? We don't even know, right?
Arrests don't mean like successful.
Are they being prosecuted and sent to jail? And what's the quality of life for these people like in these communities now? Is it better? Is it demonstrably different? I mean, just things like that. When I look at this stuff and you start playing the numbers games and everything, yeah, it's a show of activity. It's a show that you can go up and throw a sheet of paper in front of Congress and say, here's what you're getting for your money and all that stuff. And we have the attention span of goldfish now in our country. So you look at a bunch of numbers and you can say, yes, it costs us this much per arrest and blah, 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 right? For me, and a lot of my colleagues, my former colleagues ask this question: what is not getting done when we have FBI agents out doing this type of work that should be done by state and local police, right? What is not getting done when it comes to national security, when it comes to complex criminal organizations, organized crime?
I hope we don't find out the hard way.
Yeah, what's happening with espionage, counterintelligence problems in our country, right? Cyber issues, all of those things. That's what the Bureau does, because the state and locals generally don't have the training, resources, or authorities to do anything.
Yeah.
So if you're taking a bunch of folks offline, sure, we're arresting the neighborhood scumbags. I get it, and that makes an immediate impact to some people's lives, which is good. But we're looking at a longer term problem where, hey, we're not chasing spies. We're not chasing terrorists. You heard the DNI come out, not the DNI, I'm sorry, the head of NCTC, the National Counterterrorism Center, come out and say, they're estimating that 18,000 people have entered our country that are known or suspected terrorists over the time of the Biden administration. 18,000.
Can you imagine what 500 of them who have a mode of communication could do if they targeted 3 cities at once? Like that, 500 of them, 500.
But but the problem is nobody's listening to that. People should be outraged, right? People should be beside themselves. And here's the biggest problem with that is we're sleepwalking again. We are a society that has a pre 9/11 thought process with post 9/11 experience, and that's unforgivable. We're sleepwalking again. And here's the biggest thing I see.
It's been so long that the new generation, they like
a lot of folks, they weren't even born.
I know exactly where I was when 9/11 happened. I remember, and like people who are
a lot of people weren't even born. They weren't even born.
It's like World War II to them. Like it's literally the same as talking about World War II. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just, that happened a long time ago. It was bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But here's the thing, right? When we have like you say, a networked, coordinated set of attacks in the country, all you got to do is go shoot up a bunch of schools one day, shut the whole country down.
Exactly. Or a state, like target a couple state government capitals, because those are like, listen, I've walked through those, not very well protected.
Shoot them up.
Yeah, you could.
And that's what I'm saying.
A state government in an afternoon.
Well, look what happened at Brown University, right? And if that was the case as being presented in the media, where one lone, I would just say, sorry individual was able to go in there and do that.
And then just walk right out.
What about folks who actually have combat experience from being in the conflict regions overseas? They're here now. They get the call over social media. Somebody says something, calls for whatever action. They all know that that means this and that and the other. They go out, they shoot up a bunch of, I use schools as an example because they're such permissive targets. You go out, you shoot up a school or another place where people are gathered, you'll shut the whole country down. The whole country will be paralyzed.
Yeah.
And everybody will be fumbling about. And they don't know how to do this because they haven't had to do it for decades. And I just think we have a problem. And that's where I think the FBI better toughen up, not be worried about offending people. We're so worried about offending people now. Well, we can't go and look at the Muslim community because they're going to be offended. We're looking at them because they can't police their own community. Who's committing all these issues right now? There's a lot of it's Islamic extremists. What about when we were afraid to talk about, for a while we had a rash of shootings? They were all from that alternative lifestyle trans community or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Oh, but we don't want to offend them. Well, I think that's where we've gotten soft in the law enforcement community, the security community, and we're going to suffer for it.
Yeah, I agree. Let me, okay, so we got a super chat real quick. Jesse, how come no one brings up FBI in Washington, Huntsville, along with Israel, looked up Tyler, the hospital, the surgeons, the chicken coop, where the gun was found weeks, days before the shooting? This is actually a great question that I was, that I would have thought to ask you at an earlier point than now. Thank you for the super chat, Magic Monkey. So do you know what kind of validity there is to the, you know, when the people search these, like Google, whatever it is, where you can see search history in different regions. So it says like, you know, oh, and it says in Israel that someone was searching this person's name who then, you know, committed a crime or whatever in the future. And so they're like, okay, so obviously someone has foreknowledge. So the reason why I ask also is because when those stories first started coming out, I had my, one of my people who work for me, I had them try to duplicate it because I was like, I don't want to report on this unless we could duplicate it. Right. And she showed me and it like didn't work. Like it was like, she couldn't figure out like how they were doing it. But then like one time like worked and it was like, no. Like we had searched this term they were saying had been searched in a region. And then it was saying it wasn't. And then all of a sudden, and then it was just like there. Then it was there, some other weird, I don't know. So I haven't reported on that stuff because I felt like it was such a weird experience when I tried to duplicate it that I can't, I didn't think I could speak on it intelligently. So I've just kind of stayed off of that stuff.
Yeah, I think what you're looking at on some of that, Jesse, honestly, is it's internet. Some of it's internet bullshit, right? Some of it are these coincidental things that happen. I don't know about this one that the whoever wrote in just talked about. I didn't hear anything about chicken coops and other stuff, so I'm not sure what that is.
That's where the gun was stashed. Like that's where Tyler Robinson supposedly stashed the gun. By the way, like listen, me and Dan, Heavy Duty Country, I went out to his ranch yesterday to duplicate the Tyler Robinson shot with a 30-06.
Yeah, how'd that go?
It's a tough fucking shot from 140 with a shitty scope. Like, I mean, it's you know, because 140 yards. Like, if you give me iron sights on an AR, like I'm gonna like this all day. Like, I'll hit a plate all day like that.
Right.
But because like with we were trying to shoot a roast that's this big, right? And I bought the cheapest 30-06 that we could get, and it had it's $486 with a box of ammo and a mounted scope. Like, you know, so it's like this is the cheapest thing we could buy because it's a World War II supposedly 30-06. I'm sure their scopes weren't very high tech, right? It's like, you know, so we're gonna duplicate. Well, with nothing in between us from an elevated position, just like Tyler Robinson was in. It was literally like even the angle was exactly right the way we did it. We were looking, I'm like, that's a fucking tough shot right there. I mean, and with all the people in between and all that, but I mean, you know, the 30-06 blew through the roast, blew the fucking bone off, of course, you know, like there's nothing surprising there at all. But but yeah, the takeaway for me was I was just looking, I'm like, I don't know, man. This is you
Right.
know, like again, and I'm saying 140 iron sights, you know, like with an AR, like I'm gonna hit it most of the time, like all the time, actually, depending on the size of the fucking target.
Right.
But
Well,
with
from
all
what I
that
understand,
it's
from what I recall, the weapon that they recovered was an old World War II Mauser
yeah,
type of rifle converted over to 30-06.
yeah,
Okay, because 30-06 was not a European caliber at the time.
okay.
So it was converted over to 30-06. I don't know exactly, and they may have been out there, but I don't know exactly what type of optics were on the rifle, because
I don't
you
think
know
there's
people,
been an actual photo of the rifle ever, like, because it was a stock
Right.
photo.
Yeah, they
Ever-
gave some terrible photo of it would have been
The
a very
Getty-
non-functional, right? It would have been non-functional for the purpose, right?
But
So
also the thing too is like part of the FBI's story, or at least that are in the charging documents that I think it was in the charging doc. Certainly the official story was that the mom recognized Tyler Robinson from the suspect pictures that were released. I mean, I'm looking at the same picture. I have no, like, how, I mean, I guess it's your kid, but you're not seeing him move. It just doesn't, anyway, it doesn't matter.
it could have been the
story
clothes he
and
was
then
wearing.
the
Yeah, it
dad-
could have been the clothes he was wearing. Who knows?
yeah, it's
But
possible.
I'll tell you one thing too, is that I put this out in one of my own little videos on my YouTube channel. I said, let's cut to the chase. We have a shooting. We have a victim. We have a recovered, whatever they recovered from the victim, and we have the weapon. Where is the definitive, no shit, official, this is the gun, this is the bullet, this is the gun, this is the shooter? Where is that chain? I still haven't seen it anywhere definitively. Have you?
No, and the thing about it is, like, even if there would, so they're saying that they did not recover an intact, an intact bullet inside of his body. There was a fragment that was against the spine. Makes no sense. But like, okay, so there's no exit wound, so where's the bullet? Right? They didn't say lots of, like, even if it's, because it's like they were like, oh yeah, it was a frag 30-06. Me and Dan looked all over the place. You can't even fucking find that ammo. But like, even if it was a frag that hits a neck, and let's say that it frags, this is gonna destroy his neck on a level that, like, people think that is like, oh well, that's why it was just a bullet. You're like, do you understand? First of all, it takes a much harder surface to make a bullet frag, so that wouldn't work anyway. But either way, so they recover the rifle, and they say that inside the rifle are still the rounds. It's a bolt action, which means that the casing is still in the rifle, right? Like the casing that would have been used because it doesn't expel it. You have to bolt action it. You didn't do that. So he's you would be able to, like, I don't see how you would be able to ballistic match a bullet you didn't recover to a rifle where, how do you know that that's the bullet casing that it shot Charlie? You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's just a lot of gaps in the story. So that's always my thing is if we can't put the bullet to the gun, to the person, there's still some questions that have to be asked on that whole situation. And I don't, a lot of information hasn't been forthcoming. And, I was telling somebody that is all extant evidence. There's nothing new. It's not that you're not going to ruin a case by saying, yeah, we recovered whatever fragments. We were able to do a ballistic match to this weapon. We know that bullet was fired from this weapon, and we have DNA proof that this person handled that weapon, but they haven't done that. So it'll be interesting to see how that comes out in court.
So you could take so if you get the bullet fragment, you could at the very least take that bullet fragment and match it to the other ammunition that's inside the rifle, right? Like you could test like the metal composition or something. I don't know. Like, no,
maybe, but that's kind of circumstantial stuff. I mean, they make, how many bullets are made by Winchester or Remington or whatever. They could say, yeah, so what? But what you want the riflings. You want the rifling marks that you can match to that gun barrel. is basically what you're looking for.
Oh, on the actual. So if you recover an intact, like Full Metal Jacket round or whatever, you attack it, you can. Okay, so you can match that to the. That's the other
Right.
way to do it. Okay.
Yeah, that's the way you're looking to do it. I mean, you could say that, hey, they're of similar composition, so we are assuming that it came. You know, you can make assumptions, but defense attorneys are going to light you up in court on that, saying, "Well, can you definitely say that?" No.
All right. So Brooke says you have to put names in quotations, like Jesse on fire. I don't understand why. I don't know why do we have to put names in quotations? I'm confused. Magic Monkey says Baron Coleman did Google Trends on his show. Tell guests to look it up. It's real. It's not internet bullshit. Yeah, no, I like that's what I was saying. I've seen him do it. I'm not saying it's bullshit. I'm saying like, and listen, 99% of the time, if I'm like, yeah, I couldn't duplicate it, the takeaway is I'm a fucking retard, not like that it's not true. Well, it depends on what it is, but like, I'm not saying that Baron Coleman's bullshitting anybody at all. Like the guy he does solid work. RGZ Max says, we love you, Jesse. Earth is flat, bro. Okay. No, it's not. But yeah, I mean, and on the Tyler Robinson thing too, it's just, you know, like, I don't know. Megyn Kelly obviously an attorney, and she's like, why is everybody assuming that like the FBI is going to release all of the details of what they have for the case? So because what you put in the charging document, that's not going to encompass all of the evidence that you have for the prosecution. Like
No,
right?
the charging document, when you're doing that affidavit, you are going to court saying, this is what this is our probable cause to petition for arrest, search, or what have you, right?
Okay.
You're trying to convince a judge to say, yes, you have enough evidence, you have facts and circumstances that a reasonable person would believe that a crime has been, is being, or will be committed, or that evidence of a crime will be at this location where you want to search.
Yeah.
That's what you're trying to tell a judge. You're not trying to vomit forth every bit of information you have, because then those documents can be leaked, they get unsealed and everything else. And it could be, the timing may not be good for the prosecution. That's why a lot of those indictments or those, you know, the documents are sealed.
Mm-hmm. That makes
up
sense.
until a certain point, because you can't have that stuff bouncing around out there before you go out and arrest this guy. He still has to go to trial.
Yeah. But
And
I
I think
mean, and broken simulation. Thank you for that clarification. That makes perfect sense. So no wonder I couldn't duplicate it. I was doing it incorrectly. Like I said, fucking user error. So yeah. But yeah, that makes sense. It's like the defense gets. I mean, obviously, I know they get to see all of the prosecution's case in advance.
Well, what you have is, they want any and all information relating to the case that could be exculpatory or inculpatory, right? They want anything you're using to convict, as well as anything that that could be used to exonerate.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what the discovery process is there for. And you'll see judges will throw cases out when the prosecution tries to play fast and loose. Well, we didn't give you this, we didn't give you that. And the judge will say, yeah, you're playing hide and seek. Boom, case dismissed.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you, like, what are some of the most like high profile? Because we were talking yesterday about one of the cases that, you know, the Orlando shooting, like what are some of like the most high profile cases that you were like, that you directly were supervising?
Oh, a lot of the stuff that I did after 9/11 was national security work, right? We worked on the spooky things. But when I got to the terror screening center, we used to do some more things that were all classified still, but you'd see the results of them in public, you know, and we would put people on a no-fly list and everything else. But when I got back to the science and technology branch, all of the mass shootings, all of them, we had to generate response to for victim recovery, evidence recovery, crime scene processing, shooting scene reconstruction. My guys would go out and do all the technical collection for all of those types of public-facing activities where we were collecting video, audio, any kind of digital information that would help solve cases or provide investigative leads. So take your pick of any of the Las Vegas shooting, all the mass shootings. You know,
let's talk Vegas in a second. Yeah, let's definitely do that. But what about the Parkland one? Because I was going to say something.
Yeah, Parkland too. Yeah.
So I watched a great channel, Jim Can't Swim, I think it's called. Anyway, but like they do these, they show these interrogation videos from these really high profile cases, and they get, and then they kind of give commentary on the tactics that are being taken by the interrogator. And I saw the one for the Parkland kid, and he was feigning, like he was pretending to be crazy in there. And, he's like, he's pretending to be like a crazy person that was hearing voices and all this stuff. And they showed how they knew he was bullshitting. And, man, it was a very, like a very chilling moment in that one, because you could see when no one else was in there, he was actually like recreating it in his mind, kind of like, it was very, I mean, I don't know. That kid,
that kid had some problems, of course. But the scary thing about Parkland was when we were doing the after action on it, is that he had a family member that called the FBI.
I know. You guys got jammed on that one.
Well, we should have, because we did a shitty job. We didn't take action. We didn't coordinate with the local partners. I tell people when we look back at the after action on that, I don't know if we could have prevented the shooting. I would hope so, but I don't know if we could have done that. But maybe we could have got in front of him one more time. Maybe the sheriff's department, if we would have let them know, would have went out to his house one more time. Maybe all the if, would have, could have, should have, could have changed his behavior on that day. I don't know. Right. Yeah. But we didn't. We made some bad decisions at the very working tactical level on things. Some bad decisions were made, and not with ill intent, but they were bad decisions. And you saw what happened. And when you got a family member that says, "I think he's going to shoot up a school," yeah, right.
What about Sandy Hook? Did you guys work that one?
Sandy Hook was one of the ones we looked at early on, but not as part of. Let me put it this way. It was one of the first types of events like that kind of shook the nation, right? So it wasn't part of the FBI's routine analysis and reaction to the so-called mass shooting phenomenon.
Yeah.
It was one of those like, oh my God, this is a tragedy, right? So to me, it wasn't like we were like, oh, by the time we got to Parkland, it was like, oh shit, here we got another one. So Sandy Hook was one of those we looked at from a school violence perspective. We looked back at it forensically and after the fact to say what could or should have been done different. That's where they came up with the whole run, hide, fight thing and, active shooter stuff. So it was part of the study, but at the time it wasn't something that we were terribly actively working against because it was a new thing.
So you can verify that it actually did happen, and they didn't just fabricate it with crisis.
No. But the other mass shootings and all that stuff. I've seen all the footage, and like we were looking at all the footage of the Parkland shooting. This kid knew how to move. He knew how to move. He knew how to walk with a rifle. He knew how to move tactically. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things I was thinking about in terms of like with the number of potential terrorists that have come into the country. And because you're thinking about like these you put yourself in the position of someone who is here with purpose. They know they're going to get activated, and like when they're casing a place, like they're casing a place as a person who has entered a building with a firearm to shoot and kill people many times previously. And it's like, because like you just think about what a tactically competent person could do in these like fish in a barrel situations, and it's just like it's fucking scary, man.
Well, think about this. A lot of the folks in Afghanistan, I'll use Afghanistan as an example. These people have been part of war or conflict for decades.
Yeah.
Decades. These people know how to fire weapons. They walk around in the middle of this stuff. They live it. They see it. And these people are here now. And like that person who went and attacked those 2 National Guard members, he was somebody who worked with our forces over there.
Yeah.
He was somebody who we supposedly gave very, very thorough vetting to because he worked with our government agencies.
That's what Nate was telling me. He said that he worked with those guys, and he's like Nate was saying that like they work with Afghan support forces over there. And every
Yeah.
once in a while, you have one of those guys just all of a sudden flash and start and turn a gun on American
Yeah.
soldiers. And the guys in that guy's unit, that's never happened. That's how well vetted that team is. That guy was on. He's like, those guys are fucking rock solid, super vetted.
But what happens when you come over here and say certain promises were made to you?
Exactly.
Certain promises were made. You were given certain assertions, and the government reneges.
Yep. And what if that leads to your family getting fucking killed over there, dude? Like,
We'll bring your mom and dad here, and then the government's like,
and then the Taliban whacks them out. Yeah.
And then next thing you know, this guy's like, oh, okay, screw me, screw you, right?
Yeah.
And then you have him act. And again, I'm not saying that's what happened, but that's a possibility.
That's
how do you get a guy like
that?
that?
My mind went was
Yeah.
Because Nate told a story on our stream about how his interpreter, who literally worked with his unit, like as much as a person, like this is a person who's done more for the United States than 99% of citizens that live here. And the promises were made, that he would have his family moved out, and they reneged, and his family got fucking killed by the Taliban. I'm like, dude.
Well, you think you just made an enemy?
Yeah,
absolutely.
And you can't like that. That's what I said. That story. It's like that story gives me like chills to the bone, to where I'm like, I'm fucking ashamed of us. Like that's like that is a shameful story, dude. You make a promise like that where people
but it shows the
safety of their family to us.
Yeah, absolutely. And it shows the decline in character of the United States government, right? We have a character problem. And here's another thing. You and I were talking, offline, and I said, if you look at the number of people who are here, say 18,000, say take 10% of that, 1,800, 10%, who are potentially criminals, gang members, terrorist scumbags. 1,800. That is like 3 to 4 battalion strength elements of bad guys that we allowed into the country. Battalions, like military battalions of bad guys.
Yep.
And why aren't people more upset about that? I'm telling you, we don't know what's coming.
Concerned.
Yeah, we don't know what's coming for us yet. We live in a very safe, what used to be like high security, high trust society, and we're very comfortable. And I think that what's going to happen is we are going to get throat punched by these people, and we're going to sit around worrying about whether or not we're marginalizing a certain community or not, or are we being racist or phobic, or and throw all the usual communist bullshit they throw at us, right?
Yeah.
And when you value other people's cultures over our own, and we have to be so toxically tolerant of other things, we've basically neutered the law enforcement community, right? I mean, you see like the clown show up in Providence, that chief of police up there, are you shitting me? That's a chief of police? Unbelievable. And other places around the country, you see these chiefs of police, they're inept buffoons. But that's who's supposed to be protecting our country, Jesse. And we're not ready. We're not ready for a networked series of attacks or a spectacular attack again, a la 9/11 style. We're not ready for it. We're gonna be gut punched, and we're gonna double over and assume the fetal position as a society. And I'm kind of worried about it. And you and me sitting out here in the cheap seats now, watching what's going on. I'm telling you, I used to have a bird's eye view, man, and we don't know what's coming for us.
Yeah, we do what we can. Like you do.
Yeah,
do what you can.
yeah. They're doing what they can, but I don't know if it's going to be enough at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I just wonder, like, I just hope at the very least when it happens, we know who it is. You know what I mean? Because like you just, I mean, there's just, I don't know. I look around and I'm like, could be them, 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 and it's gonna be. It's just.
Well, I'm hoping your guy Cash Patel and the rest of these folks can kind of gather themselves, pull themselves together, get the thought process back in place of protecting the American people, upholding the Constitution, and making sure that we're keeping things safe, right? And we're keeping the society secure. And let's get off the social media and let's get off the, the other stuff, and who cares about, girlfriends and whatever. And let's get the job done. If not, here's what I propose. Why don't we get some folks back into those organizations who will do that?
Yeah.
Why don't we get some folks back that, hey, somebody asked me the other day, hey, would you be willing to go back and help? And I said, absolutely, but I'm not going to go back to be a patsy for some clown who's running an organization that you can't get anything done because, they're in charge. I won't do that. But I would go back and help because you know why? Because I'm not looking for a career. I'm not looking for advancement. I'm not looking for a promotion. I don't care about political office. What I care about is, are we able to respond or prevent or respond to threats to our people effectively?
Yeah.
That's what you need. And I'm not saying me personally. I'm saying, but you need those kind of people that they'll go back and do it because it's the right thing to do for the society, not because they're looking for a political career in DC or they're looking for promotions and stuff.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. We're pretty much up on time, but I wanted to ask you one last thing, which is this. If you had to pick the single scariest perp that you ever had in the box, who do you think that would be?
We've had some real shitballs. I would say the guys, I'll tell you what, have you ever, no, of course you haven't. I'm sorry, asking you a dumb question. I was going to say, have you ever been to Guantanamo Bay? Probably not, right?
No.
The scariest people that you would meet were at Guantanamo. And when you're at Guantanamo and you're looking at a group of people that honestly, they hate you and they would rather cut your throat than talk to you. Mm-hmm. These people look at you with hatred, absolute hatred. And these are people who would move around society and attack our women and children. Those were the scariest people that you could meet up with because they don't care about dying.
Yeah, that is.
Our society is based on punishment. We're gonna put you in jail. We're gonna, put you among another bunch of shitbags, and we're gonna deprive you of your freedoms. These people are willing to die to do what they want to do to hurt us. Those are the scariest people. The look in their eyes, the hatred, and the fact that they're willing to die to hurt us.
Why don't we just give them their wish and at least do it in a controlled environment where they don't get to take anyone out with them? You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, but that's not what we do, right? I mean, I'm thinking if these people are actually battlefield opponents, we should treat them in a certain fashion. But maybe that's what separates us from other societies. I don't know, but ethically, but I do know that those were scary people. And when you talk to folks like that they want to hurt you and your fellow Americans, your friends, your family, just because you're not one of them. Yeah. Those are frightening. Those are frightening people.
Yeah, I think about that. I mean, especially now, my oldest is 13 years old, and then I've got 13, 9, and 8, and I just, being a parent, just it forces you into. I mean, if you're a parent that like thinks about parenting like me, it's like it forces you into a constant analysis of like human development, where what causes people to become the version of themselves that they are when they're grown up. It's like me at my age is like, you're gonna have a hard time kind of like, we can make minor adjustments, you know what I mean? But like when like a person is getting the core foundation of who they're going to be is being formed, I realize more and more how much of that is like when they're young. Like if people are just like not paying attention, throw your kid on a video game, whatever, like you just like, you don't have that long to like kind of, build this little soldier. And I think about that in terms of like, what about these kids who are 6, 7, 8 years old and their parents get fucking blown up by whatever, you know what I mean? Like how much that's going to like, they're the core moments that turn them into the version of themselves that they are these like catastrophes that you can't undo. You're not going to like convince them. I just wonder how many of those guys over there have a fucking horror story to where, dude, and I'm not saying that means we need to fucking like, feed them steak and lobster. I'm just saying like, you're not going to fucking change these guys. Like, this is who they are. And they're shaped by this. The angle that I mean it is how people look. They're like, well, we need to think about how we treat the da-da-da-da. You're like, you guys don't get it, man. Like, I wish that we didn't fucking blow up their parents too, dude. But like, this is what this person is now,
Well,
and you need to address it from here forward. You're not going to change who they are, man. Like, you need to
No.
treat them. You know what I mean?
Well, you're right. And here's the philosophical question. How many of these people are out there as part of just the threat environment that has evolved? And how many of these people did we create?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because there are people who hate us and they want to fight us and they want to kill us for who we are or what we are. And we've never done anything to them, but they've been told their whole lives that everything shitty in their world comes from the Americans. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or, like you said, was there a tragic event where in a war or conflict region, yeah, we were fighting, war sucks, and you got into a situation where there was people were killed, during the battle, and kid lost his dad, mom, brother, sister, and now we've created another lifelong enemy. So yeah, those are things we have to look at. But here's the problem. Even if you look at it and say, yeah, that sucks, and we got to be more careful about some of these things, but you still have these people to deal with.
Exactly.
And how are you going to deal with them? Like you said, are we going to be morally virtuous and try to turn the other cheek and all that shit? Or are we going to treat them like rabid dogs? I don't know what the answer is.
I mean, if they're hardened and their purpose in life is to kill Americans, fucking rabid dogs,
Right.
man.
That's what I'm saying. And that's what I try to look at it from that perspective. Like, how do we deal with these people when we know, yeah, sure, we did something terrible a while back, unintentional, but bad outcome. We made an enemy. Now I have a rabid dog. What do I do with it? Do I still try to bring it into my house and pet it and feed it and treat it nicely? Or do I treat it like a rabid dog? I don't have an answer. That's an ethical and moral question that I don't have. I know what I would do personally, but I'm talking about for our society.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, I got this last one. Jesse, you're the GOAT. Keep on keeping it real. We need you, brother. Thank you very much, dude. I appreciate the super chat, and thank you for being a member. And Chris, thank you very much for joining us. And everybody, Chris Piehota's his channel is in the description. I would yeah,
great.
The most credible FBI voice that you will hear on the YouTube platform by Amon.
Hey Jesse, I don't know about most credible, but I'll be the most honest. How's that?
That's fair. Yeah. Awesome, man. Thank you very much. And thank you guys for hanging out. I'm going to go make a video about this civil war at Turning Point USA yesterday. And apparently lots of fireworks, people talking shit, and people responding the whole nine. So
outstanding.
Thanks, guys.
Have a great day.